We can shame
Showed you before.
Rouge
It's
live
an
on
apple
camera.
pie. It's an apple pie moonshine.
I mean, I am more
Nice.
responsible this than Rouge is.
Except she had the whole time you were gone to get up and get a drink.
I was right here. I was just trying to set my things, and the last one fell out, and I just gave up on the whole thing.
Well,
So
that's fine, but
I'm also giving up on the illusion that this is totally done, so we're just going to still do stuff in this intro part. So, you know, rock on. It's fine.
Liz, I have seen that necklace.
You walk away for 30 seconds and you get blamed for everybody not being
you
ready.
had like 10
No,
minutes
I'm
while
not
Liz's
blaming you.
camera
I
was
wasn't
off.
on my things. It's fine. Not blaming
Okay,
you.
but I had to go get this really cool cup.
Cool.
Let's see it. Oh, cool. Where we're showing cup. Liz, I've seen that necklace before, and I've almost bought it, but I can't wear pearls, so they are pearls, aren't they?
yes,
Yes, that's good.
it felt
I've
appropriate.
learned the pearls have to match your teeth. That's like how you get in. That's like,
Oh,
I'm like,
Interesting.
okay.
no,
things that I
that
do
sounds
know.
like a weird thing.
Joe just
So-
dropping wisdom on the chat.
Yeah.
I mean,
In case you had any questions about whether you could wear pearls or not, now you know.
Apparently, they got to match.
You got to match your teeth. That's the
All right.
rule.
Didn't know that.
but it's a weird thing. Like they're like, oh, just make sure they match your teeth. I'm like,
I mean, I guess you don't want your teeth to look like yellow.
Yellow in comparison?
But like,
I initially thought I'm like the size, or and they're like, and it rolled around in my head, like a pair of teeth. And
yes, everyone knows it's gauche to wear pearls larger than your largest tooth.
can we
Don't be ostentatious, people.
Can we start spreading that rumor?
Yeah. I mean, if that's
Everybody
the rule,
knows.
if that's the rule, then why don't more people just wear necklaces of teeth, Because I feel like that'd be easier to
Save time.
match. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, hi,
On
everybody.
that note.
Welcome to Live from the Apocalypse. If you have not caught us before, we are a not-for-profit TTRPG studio. We play tabletop role-playing games and make content in the forms of streams and actual plays and podcasts and all of that good stuff to raise money for nonprofits and aid organizations and just good progressive causes in general. And we are currently raising money still for the First Nations Development Institute, although we are getting pretty close to our goal. We have raised over $1,300 out of $2,000 for the First Nations Development Institute. So any day now, we might be finishing that out and picking a new beneficiary. But for
Do you
now,
already have one in mind?
we sure don't. We sure
Okay.
don't. I don't know what about
Are
anything
we
you've
gonna
seen
vote?
behind the scenes that makes you think we plan that far in advance, but cool, I guess.
So the
And-
trick is we need to beat the goal tonight to make you do work before the stream tomorrow.
Yeah, I don't do enough work. I would really like to do more work.
Just
for the
really
channel.
need you to get your ass in gear,
Yeah.
Will. Come on.
About time I
The
did some
trait
work
of
around
Will,
here.
in fact, is that he does not do enough
He
and
does
is
nothing.
always sleeping.
Just waste so much time.
It's a well-known thing about me. That's a fact about me. We'll get into some facts about our cast here in just a second. But before we do that, around here, we just ask that if you like what you see, if you've enjoyed any of this chaos that you've witnessed so far, instead of doing any of the normal Twitch.tv things that Mr. Bezos would like you to do, like subscribing or giving us bits, which would give him fully half of whatever money you try to give to us. Instead of doing that, you can just bypass that entirely, and you can donate directly to the First Nations Development Institute, the $5 or the $6 or whatever you have to spare. There is no expectation. And just give it to them instead of to us or to Amazon, because Amazon sure doesn't need it. And also, we just play games on the internet. We won't do much with it, but the First Nations Development Institute will. If you do that, the McElroy brothers will interrupt and scream at us about gripping it and or ripping it, and they'll interrupt whatever's going on. Of course, we cannot stop you from subscribing. It is not a thing that we can turn off here on Twitch, but just be aware that if you do so, Brendan Lee Mulligan, beloved TTRPG figure, will kill a dog. He will kill one dog for every month that you are subscribed to this channel. We're up to 15. We've only been live for 18 minutes, so that's almost a dog a minute, and that's not acceptable. So don't do that. Donate instead. And I think with all of that, yeah, we're here for all of your gripping and or ripping needs. So with all that being said, I think that is most of the stuff, right? There are channel points, there's captions you can turn on with a little button down in the corner of the screen. There's a little note about that you can see right there. Yeah, hit us with the emotes in the chat whenever you like and or don't like something. Anything's possible tonight. With all that being said, we can get into our introductions, go around, talk about the characters a little bit, talk about ourselves a little bit, and we'll do some more plugging of things and promoting of things at the end. So just stick around for that. But we'll start off and we'll go around in order. I believe we've been doing this in order of oldest sibling to youngest sibling. So we'll stick with that, which means, Joe, you are up first.
No problem. Hi, I'm Joe Gates. You can find me online on, let me see. I'm on the Facebook, but I'm also on the Instagram. One just kind of drips down to the other. It's like the natural economy of the world. So on Instagram, I'm at Comedy Show Gates, and I usually use it to promote stuff here. But when I'm not doing the show, I'm doing Veil Breakers with a chunk of these people here. So yeah, come and keep on checking this out. This is a lot of fun. And if you're in the kind of tricolor area of like Philadelphia, you can follow Comedy Show Gates, and I occasionally put up like an improv show or something that I'm doing IRL, so we can actually, meet and say hi, and I don't know, that kind of thing. Solve mysteries later, who knows? But my character, I'm playing Noctis Duskfell. He's the oldest. He's a twin, and he's like tall, athletic, like a little thin, dusky, and like dusky complexion and like red hair with gray, and his eyes are fully black with autumn yellow irises that brim with the intensity of a thunderstorm. And he has a really cool coat. So that's all I got for that. So.
Stick around for the coats. This game's big on coats. In order from oldest to youngest, next up, Chris, and by proxy, Chaz.
Hi, I'm Chris Irish. I game with these hooligans on a regular basis. I'm going to be playing Chaz Madigan today, who is the twin of Noctis, the second oldest, but grew up unwanted because he was the second born, so has huge abandonment issues. Grew up on the streets, is now a guerrilla underground fighter coming back to take care of his family.
What more do you need to know, honestly? Rouge.
Hello, I am Rouge, and besides being able to find me here playing live from the Apocalypse games, I have been occasionally moonlighting over on Guild Superior recently with a few short-term games they've run that I've played in. And otherwise, I'm mostly in a band called the Misbehaving Maidens, which you can find online pretty much anywhere you can stream music. And yeah, we're a not safe for work adult comedy band, so you have been duly warned before you start playing that in weird places. But I am playing Lexi Madigan, the solidly middle child by timeline wise, but the first kid from the first marriage of Alexander Madigan. So according to her mother, the only legitimate child. And so she's relatively tall, curvy, warm, brown eyes, shiny brown hair, and just a friendly smile for everybody. That kind of, she, masks a somewhat, at times, cowed nature from having such two strong-willed parents. So that's Lexi.
Yeah, it's Lexi. I think we should start introducing the band differently. I think we should start saying, not giving any warning and just saying, you should play it out loud at your office.
Make sure there's kids around.
Yeah.
Yep. Fun for the whole age, fun for all ages, whole family. Yeah.
We do actually have a child-friendly online-only album that we made, which is called Begrudgingly Behaving Maidens, which is just our actual like child-friendly songs. It's a compilation album we made out of the 3 actual CDs we released of just the stuff that is safe for smaller audiences. So
when's your next show?
So we actually have one announced coming up. We're not really performing much these days, unfortunately, but we do have one on the books coming up May 25th. That will be at the New Deal Cafe, which is in Greenbelt, Maryland. And then we do expect to have at least one more coming up in the very soon as well. So if you want to find out, we pretty much only perform in like the DC, Maryland, Virginia area. So just make sure you follow the band on any of the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I don't think actually the Twitter is really all that live anymore. Probably don't follow that one. But we also just have a website, misbehavedmaidens.com. And if you go there, we keep that updated. So, yay!
And Liz.
I'm Liz. I design games, stream with the channel, do a bunch of other stuff. I am in various states of a mess, much like Ravenna. And most days we strive to be a hot mess. That is basically summing up seemingly the mood lately and the character. On that note, if you see me somehow gain fangs magically throughout the stream, no, you didn't. They've been there the whole time. Leave it alone. Ravenna is a white court vampire. She feeds off of lust and or fear, depending on how good she's doing in her mental state at the time. And yeah, like I kind of already alluded to, she's a mess, but she's a hot mess and she's fun. And that is Ravenna, at least as far as we know her so far.
Perfect. And last but certainly not least, the youngest child of the Madigan clan, Victoria and Leah.
Yeah. So I'm playing Leah Madigan. Leah was not planned, but turned out to be more in the family way. No, wait, that sounds weird because that sounds pregnant. Sorry. So took more chip off the old block. Apple doesn't far fall from the tree than some of the other progeny of Alexander Madigan, but only expressed that sort of later in her childhood, and therefore wasn't much of a figure in Dad's life until then. Leah is significantly younger than most of her siblings, and she has had a weird experience of them. Dad didn't really know her much as a person, but started to train her as a wizard. So she's got some interesting baggage with that. She's also a little bit rosy-eyed about Dad, little in a way that the others aren't, and had that sort of eternal hope for if we just get some more time together, we'll totally bond and be parent and kid, right? That's gonna happen any day now. Leah has currently neon yellow dyed hair that's chopped sort of haphazardly at the chin, and really expressive warm brown eyes that are very observant and become little half moons when she smiles. She's a she's a little tender heart summer child a lot of the time, but she's also emissary of Santa Claus, so that happened. Yeah. I don't really do anything on the internet except this. So Live from the Apocalypse.
Yeah. And speaking of Live from the Apocalypse, hello, my name is Will. I'm one of the organizers and storytellers for Live from the Apocalypse. And I do a bunch of stuff, but it's mostly here on the internet. And I think I don't have anything that I need to plug anywhere else right now. I don't play a character in this game, or rather, I play everybody else.
I was going to say, you play many characters.
Yeah, that is not one of the 5 people you just met. But we'll do more plugs and shit at the end. But for now, I think that's enough. There's a social media handle there. If you want to follow it, you can, or not. And that is it. So let's get into it, because we had a very eventful ending last time. Yes. And I think where we are going to start is I think we're going to start is with a view from the street. In front of a very old, long-standing brownstone in the middle of our city, where we set our scene. It's nighttime, but the lights in the house are lit, and there is a lot of noise emerging from inside, though it's muffled, of course. There's laughter, conversation, the slight hint of music. If somebody didn't know any better, they might think it was a regular party and not a funeral for a very old and powerful wizard. But from our perspective of no one, we see one person step out onto the porch, onto the veranda. Tall woman, very severe looking, very capable. She stands there with her back to the house, and her posture remains stoic, but from our perspective, we can see that she is crying. Not openly, not making a show of it, of course, not raising a fuss, but a tear or two is being shed. And shortly after that, another figure joins her smaller figure, shorter figure. And they converse, though the taller woman doesn't turn around. They have a brief conversation, but from where we are standing, once again, we can see a shadowy form creep over the roof of the house and start making its way spider-like and inhumanly down the wall on the outside of the house, just sort of setting one gangly, unformed limb in front of the other, keeping to the shadows where it is nearly invisible. And as it pauses next to one of the front windows of the house, finds a pocket of shadow large enough to accommodate it, and its form morphs, takes on a more human appearance, although it has a ghastly pallor to it. And the head of this figure, even as it is forming, tilts, and it looks directly at the shorter of the two women standing on the veranda. And with a rattling breath, this creature inhales something off of her, like a drug. And it makes a very satisfied sound deep in whatever passes for its throat, as the corpulent form that it was taking resolves itself into an old man with a full beard, tall and powerfully built, and very, very dead. Suddenly, the creature makes a move, lands on the veranda. Almost immediately, it knocks the taller woman unconscious. And from there, the scene devolves into chaos. But as more people join the veranda, exiting the house, they make short work of the creature. And finally, it melts away into shadow, but not before it delivers one raspy, rattling threat. The sun will set. And then it's gone. The five of you are standing on the veranda. Melissa Vervain's unconscious form in front of you when Cesar Oliveira, the very attractive, swarthy man that you met earlier in the very nice, expensive-looking suit, steps out from the house, takes in the scene for a moment, looks at Melissa on the ground and says, "Let's get her inside, where we may speak." And some of you pick her up, carry her inside, and that pretty much brings us up to speed. There are gasps, as you can imagine, when you bring in the unconscious form of Melissa Vervain. Who did we establish was carrying her? Cesar might have been one of the people. Chaz might have been
probably
the
would have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's right. So as you are bringing her in, as you are carrying her, Cesar would say, is there anywhere away from the assembled crowd we could put her? A room, perhaps?
Yeah, we just had a fire going in the office.
Yes, to the study then.
I'm gonna say, like, if most people are like in the parlor, so there's like the kitchen probably takes up like most of the space other than the parlor on like the first floor of the house. But there's probably like a little like little bit better than a like coat closet, like receiving office-y area, like to the side of the door on the opposite side of the parlor, where like in years past this would have been like where the valet or butler or whatever would have like set up shop before. So like, I mean, there's not a whole lot of it. We probably have a bunch of coats in there, but like if you go other than that at the kitchen, I don't know if we can all fit in there. Maybe the kitchen.
You have a lot of options, but I think Cesar will nod for the small sort of valet room as it is closest, and will hopefully attract the least amount of attention. So with that door open, one of you gets it, and Chaz, you and Cesar carry Melissa in there, lay her down on a bench that has a large collection of coats covering it, and he will straighten up, kind of stretch his back out a little bit, and take his coat off, just leaving him in like the button-down shirt and the vest that he is wearing, and look at all of you for a moment. Is everybody all right?
I think we're all fine. Wonder where that thing went and who it's going to attack next.
There are how many wardens here, and none of them did anything?
He will kind of laugh, but there's no real mirth to it. Like he's telling a joke, but none of you are in on it. He says, there never is one around when you need one, is there?
I don't think like Leah was expecting him to basically agree with her, so she's like hands on hips, like ready to chew somebody out, and is like, fine. Like,
I came here to fight, damn it.
Not what I expected you to do. So like instead of, and like since we obviously like wanted to not so much like make a scene, she's gonna like scuff her foot along like the floor and like maybe like kick somebody's purse, but like.
Cesar, you said that you are not with them. You are not a wizard, are you?
I am not. And if you'd like to, you can make an empathy check on that.
I can, and I think I will.
Yeah, anybody who wants to, feel free to roll empathy.
Okay.
Set up my thing.
I feel like I should, since that's one of my high stats, but I'm also sort of like, would Lexi bother?
That's very fair.
A -1.
6.
Okay.
All right, we're good. The family wizard has it. We're fine.
6 is better than -1. 3 is also better than -1.
My empathy is one of my higher stats, so we good.
Yeah.
What is the rule on rolling an untrained ability in this? Is it just 0?
Yes, you are considered to be mediocre and have a 0 in it.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt you, it just doesn't help you. So it's completely dependent on your roll then.
And we can always, if we have things that actually matter, we can add like aspects to it in order to give us a +2, right? Or a reroll.
You can, yeah, you can spend a fate point at any point, tap one of your aspects, and either reroll it or add 2. If you'd like to do that, feel free. But otherwise, we'll just okay, cool. What did Lexi get?
Leah. Leah got 6. Lexi didn't roll.
Leah got 6.
Oh, sorry. I thought Lexi rolled. Yeah, I knew Leah got 6. Okay, cool. So I'm tracking Leah with a 6, Ravenna with a 3, Noctis with a -1. Did Chaz roll?
Chaz got a flat 0.
Okay.
Not empathetic, are we?
Ravenna,
Like I said, it should. Lexi probably should be because it's like one of my better stats, but it's just like
your mom's currently unconscious, so
she's
that's
a little
fair.
distracted.
Yeah.
All of her empathy is directed at her unconscious mother at the moment.
Mhm. Ravenna and Leah, you both. Cesar does not appear to be lying, but he's also not telling you the whole truth. You get the sense that he is holding something back. You're just not sure what exactly it is. And I think with a 6, Leah, because that is technically above the scale of like humanity, what I'm going to say is there's maybe a touch of like the Odin magic to that for you. Like you kind of get a sense from his eyes maybe that what he's telling you is not a lie necessarily, but is not the whole truth either. You'd have to delve a little bit deeper to find anything more concrete than that. But I will give you the opportunity to do that if you want to.
Yeah, maybe. So if I want to do that guy.
So my thought on this is that Odin is a god associated commonly with wisdom, and you have this connection to Odin. And I'm thinking maybe this would work like a one-way soul gaze.
Okay.
So we would kind of be doing a soul gaze, but he wouldn't necessarily get anything on you. You would only get things on him.
Okay. So sort of like maybe more of an extension of the sight in this case, but like, I mean, I guess soul gaze and sight are related to each other anyway. So like, meh.
Exactly. Not quite so traumatic as the sight, but similar vibe for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, Odin is a one of the things that falls under his purview is like hospitality, and he is like a guest right now of this. Yeah. So rolling and then +2 because I'm using an aspect for it.
If you want to spend a fate point for it, I will give you a bonus. I do have to try to look up what the rules for soul gazing are, and my Adobe seems to have frozen, which is a fun thing for it to have done at this moment.
If you give me a second.
Sure.
Okay.
It is, yeah, it's just genuinely. You try to control F, and it just.
I think it has more to do with this book than Adobe, because I also did not have a good reaction to Control F.
Yeah, it's dense. We know this. Okay, cool. It seems to have caught up with me now, so I should be able to find it. Okay.
Soul gazing.
It's like 3 pages in the book. That is a lot of words.
Yeah, geez.
Yes,
okay.
it is.
That's
okay. I've got it pulled up
specific
here.
application of the site.
So you're going to roll your conviction as an attack, and he's going to roll his defense. His discipline as a defense.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. Well, that's not the worst thing in the world. All right. My conviction is pretty good, so hopefully this is going to be fine. We'll see.
Okay.
Nope, that's 4.
Okay. Well, you still managed to beat him. I'll tell you that for free. So basically, you were going to get a glimpse at his soul, and depending on what you see, you may have to try to figure it out or try to defend against what you see. But for now, you've succeeded. So what I'm going to say here is anybody who would be paying close attention to Leah, you might see one of her eyes, her right eye, kind of gets this like stormy cast to it. Not like a cataract, very much like a storm cloud. Maybe if you were to look particularly closely, you'd see little bolts of lightning in there. But I think in this particular case, probably that goes largely unnoticed, especially since you won your role. Leah, when you look into Cesar Oliveira and his image of himself, you see an interesting thing. You see a cathedral, and you see rows of pews and an altar at the head of it. And you see typical sort of, the iconography of saints, the iconography of Jesus's life, things from the New Testament, things from the Old Testament. And you see Cesar Oliveira himself clad much like you see Cesar Oliveira himself clad much like he is currently, in this sort of cream-colored suit and white undershirt, and he is kneeling piously in front of a cross. And on that cross, there hangs the image of a man, but the image of the man is also Cesar Oliveira. And this version has a dark and twisted expression, like it is screaming, but not a scream of pain, like a scream of rage or hatred. And it is openly weeping blood. That is what you see.
Seems healthy.
Yeah. So like she's gonna give a little bit of a like I don't know, like having a like tension headache, like shake. And we're gonna kind of just let other people do the talking for a minute. Yeah.
Okay.
So you are no wizard, yet you have medical knowledge, I'm assuming?
Some basic first aid. I am familiar with the wardens, particularly the ones gathered here. We have history together, but I would say our fondness for each other depends on the day.
Understood. You were, of course, help the woman. Almost kind of like, needs to help her out.
I was gonna say, if this conversation keeps going, Lexi is going to be like, I do not care. We can talk about that later. Can you help her or not?
I will say that he has already moved to her side and is checking her over, and kind of like pulling open her eyelids, checking to make sure that everything is, dilating correctly, and he is answering your questions as he is doing this checkup. So,
So you were the first to, well, aside from myself, you were the first and only guest to come out. How did you know we were in trouble? And don't say I looked through the window.
I have a knack for being where I am needed.
Not just kind of like impassively like watches to see if he says anything more, kind of like an expectant parent. And like folds his arms. And
I'm afraid there's not much more to it. I happened upon you all outside by chance, but I'm glad that I did. And then he will kind of stand up and brush the knees of his suit pants off from where he was kneeling, and he says, "She will be fine. She's not concussed. She will just need a few moments rest before she regains consciousness, I think."
We can actually know whether or not she's been concussed with that like right away.
Leah, is everything okay?
I mean, we should probably like monitor her. Like, I don't think you can know about a concussion immediately. Some of those symptoms happen like somewhat gradually, because if she's like bleeding in the meninges, I'm just saying. But well, she's not in bigger danger, I guess.
Of course, you are right. But there are a great number of wizards here, and I'm sure someone would be able to accompany the Lady Vervain and keep an eye on her.
Sure. But,
I think perhaps in light of this attack, if I may offer a suggestion, it might be time for this gathering to end.
Oh no.
Noctis starts to speak and just presses a smile and then waits for it to pass and just kind of shares a knowing look with his sister Ravenna. So he says, "Yes, my fear is, did I know what that fake creature was, or did somebody else kind of recognize it?"
I think you were able to recognize it as a fetch. I don't see why not. If anybody here could, it'd probably be you.
Typical fetch rules of folklore, meaning it takes the form of other people, typically comes through windows, might be associated with the Fae, probably.
It feeds on fear, kind of in the same way that Ravenna does, honestly. But it feeds on fear, and it takes the form of somebody's greatest fear, basically.
He's like, I feel like that is the right choice. Oh no, indeed, Ravenna. But if anybody were able to summon that creature, it might be somebody around here. I would hate to get rid of all the witnesses, but we also can't keep them captive, I suppose.
Unless you're planning to turn this into an investigation, I would say it is probably best to release them back into the world, at least get them out of your father's home.
If anybody else wants to do the honors, he kind of looks about.
I mean, Lexi is just holding her mother's hand and sort of absentmindedly rubbing the back of it. So she's useless. So normally she would absolutely be the one I'll do it in a nice way to make sure no one's upset. But right now she's completely just does not care.
I will, Cesar will say, I will get Warden Mara, and I'm sure he will be more than happy to take Melissa home.
Thank you.
Of course I'll go with her.
As you wish.
Leah's gonna look up at Cesar and be like, "Are you staying?"
I will confess I had not considered it unless you would like me to.
It hadn't been invited.
Yes. I can take my leave, of course. I will get Warden Mara, and he will nod to all of you and leave. Kind of has he doesn't take it personally, Leah. He can tell what you're trying to do, and he kind of accepts it very easily, nods in understanding.
I mean, she kind of meant it personally, so
that's fair. But he doesn't take it that way. So
I do ask for his information if we need to contact him on what happened. However, so
he will slip you a piece of paper before he leaves that has a phone number on it. But he will step away, leaving the five of you alone, at least for a little while. Ravenna, did you say you were going to take care of the party, the guests?
I want to see how Ravenna breaks up the party.
No,
a lot. I was
We
figuring
are
it was
not
either going to be
gonna
Chaz or Ravenna, and I'm honestly here for the chaos either one would create. So,
I think she just strides out of the closet back into the room and does she's used to getting the attention of a room, so I think it's just a very pointed, just loud enough clearing of throat to kind of, if there's music playing, she'll walk over and shut that off very pointedly. And then kind of clear her throat. And well, ladies and gentlemen, it's I'm sure been Lovely, I suppose. But an assault usually means the end of the party, so we are going to have to need you all to head out on your way. And have a lovely evening.
Can you make a presence roll for me?
Yeah.
Also, party don't stop till I walk in is very Ravenna.
That is a 3.
Okay. With a 3, you hear a lot of gasps when you mention the assault. It's clear that nobody knows what you're talking about, but everybody is suitably shocked. You will get a few questions, but I think you're able to deflect them pretty handily. You probably see a few people milling around looking for your siblings, but when they can't find them, they're kind of willing to be herded out the door. I think among the assemblage, you would see the people that you see who are remaining behind. You see the bald warden who was a jerk to Noctis, kind of passed out on a couch, and you see in a back corner near the kitchen door, Cesar in quiet conversation with Duncan Mara, the warden who delivered the eulogy for your father. And he is nodding seriously as he listens to what Cesar says. The two of them will step over towards the coat room, and then Ravenna, are you staying to make sure the last vestiges of people make their way out, or are you returning?
I think she will stay outside the coat room and just make sure to that everyone is leaving before returning to her siblings.
Okay, cool. Cool. So yeah, you kind of herd everybody out the door. A few people stop to say, ask if they can get their coats or their purses because they're in the room that you're standing in front of, but you can deflect those requests and basically tell them come back tomorrow, or you can say oh, they'll be mailed to you, don't worry.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of. We're a little busy right now. I'm sure you have another coat. They will be sent to you in time.
You need a coat? This family has spares. Just
yes. So many coats.
Hand out random coats.
Throws one out.
Heard of riding your father's coattails, but this is ridiculous.
Hey.
Cool. All right. So you are parked outside of the coat room, but Cesar and Duncan have entered the coat room. And Duncan is a tall man, though not as tall as either of Chaz or Noctis. He is losing his hair, but he has not lost it yet. It's kind of a gingery color, and he is pretty powerfully built. And he will see your mother lying there. He will say, "Oh, gosh, Melissa, what happened?"
A fetch. Someone sent one, and it attacked her. And my sister. Do you, Lexi, do you still have, the marks on your throat?
I mean, I'm assuming, she was being lifted by her throat. I'm assuming that's enough to, leave a mark. Yeah, even after. Anything, I'm guessing, maybe even a bruise is forming.
Mm-hmm.
A fetch?
Yes.
At your father's home, that... strange.
That was a long pause, even for you, practiced orator. What goes through your mind?
I'm not certain what it would have hoped to have accomplished here. And if I'm being honest, it wouldn't have been able to pass the threshold. All it would have been able to do is wait until somebody stepped outside and then make its move. And I suppose that's exactly what it did, but that just seems like a lot of effort. Either way, we'll look into it. Thank you for bringing this to my attention, the attention of the wardens. And he will move to Melissa's side, and I think he'll try to rouse her.
Sorry, I was on mute. Leah's going to say, well, we didn't. Cesar did.
Yes, he will trade a look with Cesar, who has this kind of unbothered, very neutral expression on his face. He will nod. He will say,
Thanks for helping.
of course, was my pleasure. And your mom kind of comes back to her senses a little bit. She wakes up. She's a little drowsy, still a little out of it. But Duncan will put a hand on her shoulder to calm her down, and he'll say, it's all right, Melissa, you're safe. I'm going to see that you get home safely. All right? She'll kind of nod and just sort of look around, very disoriented. And then she will get up to her feet and start following after Duncan, or rather, he'll help her, kind of put out one arm to steady her, and she will walk out of her own power. Lexi, are you following? She doesn't seem to have noticed you.
I think Lexi's gonna make an attempt, when he's first getting her up off the couch, to be like, "Oh, we don't rush," and just it's completely ignored, and just
yeah. She'll give you the don't make a fuss, Alexandra. I'm fine.
Right, of course. Get home safe.
Lexi, do you need any? He comes up and he's a close talker, and you're probably used to it, but he doesn't touch you or anything like that. He's like your neck. Do you need Cesar's attention?
I'm sure it's fine. Might be a little difficult covering it up with some makeup in the morning to go to work, but I'm sure it's fine. Just bruising.
But does it hurt?
Are you hurt?
It's I'll live. It's fine.
We could make tea.
At this point, not Alexander. At this point, Melissa and Duncan have left the room. Cesar lingers for a moment, and then he will bow to each of you, grab his jacket from where he sort of threw it over one of the chairs when he was checking Melissa, and he will say, I won't take up any more of your time this evening, but just wanted to offer my condolences one last time. Alexander was a complicated man. And
can I ask for a second, because Chaz would be on the lookout at this point. Was Cesar armed?
Interesting question.
When he took off the coat, would I have seen anything under it or in the coat?
Ooh, okay, all right.
Chaz.
That's a very good, very cool question that I like a lot. Why don't you roll investigation?
He did leave the room. That would have given Chaz enough time.
It would have.
Also to check
search even.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to just pick up the coat and start rifling through the pockets, but so I can't use alertness for that.
I mean,
alertness is generally passive, and investigation is usually active, kind of like in 5e. But if
you could also
want
just
to,
have lifted it a little bit, and it's going to weigh different if it's got something in it.
We could say, if you want, that he goes to for his coat and you
pick it up and hand it to him.
Yeah, very politely, very politely.
Mm-hmm.
I'm into that. That's very fun and creative, and so I won't make you roll for it. I'm going to say you don't see anything, but you recognize the weight of a gun when you feel it.
Okay. Hand it to him gingerly.
Mm-hmm. And he will kind of bow to you and say thank you, and yeah, he'll continue talking as he does so and say, Alexander was a complicated man, and we had a complicated relationship, but doesn't mean I'm any more happy that he's gone than I'm sure you are. And for what it's worth, and he will nod at you, Leah, as he says this, I only told the warden that Melissa had hurt herself and needed to be taken home. I did not tell him anything of the fetch.
Sometime you'll have to tell us how you knew Dad.
It's a long story, but I would be happy to. And your brother has my number, so I'll leave you to it, Madigans.
Thank you so much for attending, and thank you for your aid. We may call upon it again.
He will nod, and he will take his leave.
Not just like make sure everybody leaves, and just like he like looks at Chaz. It's like, would you help me with a sweep of this floor?
I will also add that on the way out, Cesar sees the unconscious Hugo Mears and sighs and kind of hoists him up and says, "Let's get you home, old man. Come on." And he's like raising a fuss in that way that drunk people do, but he still manages to get him out the door.
Prevents us from having to throw him out.
Damn.
Do I and Lexi's mother have any interactions as she exits the closet that Ravenna is standing outside looking for guests?
Do you want to? I'm going to say she's kind of out of it, and she's probably, her eyes are going to glaze right over you. But if you want to say something to her, I'm all for it. As a matter of fact, I'm sure there's something here I can compel. There's got to be something. Maybe we could do White Court Black Sheep. We could also do Homesick. I feel like maybe could work.
Yeah, I think that could work.
Okay.
Considering she's done a good part of rubbing in how alienated Ravenna is from her family.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think if she walks past, it's just gonna be it's a very like almost kind of mirroring a faux affectionate, and it's just gonna be like, oh dear, so glad to see that you're up and moving about again. Such a terrible thing to have happened. Thank God we were there to intervene on your behalf. But I hope you feel better soon, and have a lovely evening.
For the first time you've ever seen, Melissa Vervain is at a loss for words. She doesn't say anything. She won't even really meet your eyes, and you get the sense that this is kind of like when a wild animal is hurt, and it will kind of act, like deferential and stuff like that because it knows it's vulnerable in the moment. So like her claws and her teeth, as they are away, and she just kind of nods to you. But your comment does earn you a very dark glare from Duncan Mara, who is like clearly kind of like, why are you fucking with this lady? Come on, she's had a rough night. Yeah, he'll shake his head at you kind of openly, and then just take her out the front door. He'll say, "Come on, Melissa, let's get you home." Take a fate point, though.
Oh yeah.
So yes, you can do a sweep of Madigan Manor, and you can determine, in fact, that all of the guests have left. You also don't see Amalthea anywhere, but it is possible that by this point in the night, she may have just retired and gone to bed.
Does she stay here?
She does. She lives here, yes.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes she probably checks in on my mom, but like she lives at Madigan Manor.
Yeah. Lexi, I'm curious what you're going to do with that vision you got. If you're going to share it with anybody. Not Lexi. Leah, I'm curious what you're going to do with that vision you got. And if you're going to share it with anybody.
If we are definitely alone and people are not leaving immediately, she is absolutely going to bring it up.
Cool.
Because like it probably felt a little bit to her like people want to trust Cesar, and that's a like, now there's this red flag of like, no. Like, before you go and do that, you need to know there's a Mr. Yuck sticker on this one. So as long as like we've done the sweep, like if it's like taking a minute, she'll probably start tea.
I think that's
like,
totally fair. And
yeah.
I'll say Chaz and Noctis, you get back from sweeping the house. Ravenna, I don't believe you're leaving right away. Are you? I do like the fact that if Leah's making tea and Noctis and Chaz are sweeping the house, that means that Ravenna and Lexi are kind of alone without any buffers.
Yeah, I think like when her mom left, she kind of just like that down on the couch that they had laid out Melissa Ravane on, and is just sort of like reeling from her own interactions with what happened, since she's not a fighter. This is not her wheelhouse.
This is gonna be a weird question. I don't know if I would have, but do I have any knowledge of like post someone using fear as a weapon aftercare? Because I have done that for a significant portion of my life.
As I've told Noctis in the past, if anybody would know about that, it certainly seems like you would.
I think whatever that might be, like whether it's not to reference an awful series, but whether it's chocolate or something of that, or an awful, not an awful series. But anyway, whatever the item of choice is that might help fix the spiral, I think Ravenna is just going to gather and try and bring over to Lexi, like just kind of set in front or nearby, not like directly push, but just kind of like setting nearby.
I have a thought, but I think Joe also has a thought, and I want to hear Joe's
Is it
thought
an
first.
apple teeny? Was it the same?
It was not the same thought, but I like the apple teeny idea.
What was yours?
Well, I think the apple teeny works. My thought is that fear basically leads to a lot of adrenaline. And so I think that's kind of the come down, right? So anything that will like calm your nerves and kind of get you out of that fight or flight feeling. Ironically, I do think chocolate would probably work in that regard, but also, tea, a fire, alcohol would probably help actually.
I'm picturing that scene in Taken when Liam Neeson is the bodyguard. He hands her the soda. He's like, nope, drink this. The sugar will help you come down.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think it's gonna also I imagine it as being things that also target every sense to kind of reassert you into the present. So it's like maybe turns back on music, but something like faint and calming. Grab something that smells strongly and is like relaxing, like just trying to hit all the little senses to kind of bring her back into the present.
Yeah, not to get too inside jokey, but apparently like in actual life, like biting a lemon can help. But
just bite a whole lemon.
Slices of lemon with tea, that's a possibility. But also Tetris apparently helps like people like disconnect from the immediate because it's like spatial reasoning and you don't tend to turn that on for. Just FYI.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Things you learn when you do active shooter drills, guys. Like just
what a fun set of knowledge skills that people have now.
Yeah.
In your like immediate trauma kit, first aid for other people, load Tetris on your phone. Just saying.
Boy.
Now you know.
Boy.
Okay. But also biting lemons. So there will be
but also don't forget the lemons.
Yeah. Your dentist will yell at you if you do it too often, though, as we know.
As we know.
So,
how often are we expecting Lexi to get traumatized in this series?
A lot, actually, probably. But yeah, you should join the Discord, find out what happens. People that are watching, because if you didn't understand our inside joke, you will if you join.
It's true. Yep. You sure will. So Ravenna is just kind of getting these objects and things and just kind of wordlessly putting them around the room or like handing them to Lexi?
So the ones that have to be like directly consumed, she'll set like next to Lexi. Everything else, and I think she'll do the things that can be atmospheric first. So it's so there's not like that chance to refuse or get like frustrated at first. It's kind of like, oh, music, maybe light a candle or something that somebody's like, all those things that can be done around, and then finally settling on like the chocolate and the tea, maybe like right next to her.
Well, the tea is getting made, so I think in the meantime, it may just have to be like a shot or something. There brandy in this room? I feel like there'd be brandy.
Yeah, it is also a little bit more Ravenna's speed, so.
It's one of those houses where there's like a decanter and like a few glasses in practically every room.
Yeah, you got to open the special panel, the emergency brandy. Yeah.
Yeah, I think after everything's set up, what it actually is everything else gets set up, and then Ravenna sits down next, popping a chocolate into her own mouth with a chocolate sitting on the tray and 2 shots sitting there next to each other, and just kind of slides it over next to Lexi.
Yeah, I think Lexi will just sort of almost like, just like robotically, just sort of like accept the, if she's like handing it to her, she'll just sort of like robotically accept it, and sort of start munching on the chocolate to start,
Yeah,
but
I
like
would.
not saying anything, and just sort of like, and depending on how much Ravenna is like really paying attention, she might even notice that Lexi has sort of started tapping like her fingers just against her leg without even seeming to like notice it.
After the chocolate, you should take at least one of those. I could take the other one with you, or you can take both, whichever works. But it'll
One
help.
of what? Oh,
The shots, dear.
Sure. Sure. And just again, sort of like mechanically accept it and just sort of like without even really seeming to be like consciously making the choice, just sort of like kick it back. And then there's like a second, and then she just starts coughing. Of just like, she is not a hard shots kind of girl.
And you did just have throat trauma. like that is
I do also just have throat trauma.
No.
Realistically, I'm pretty sure if I had been lifted by my throat, I probably also would not be able to talk in a normal voice, but I don't have faith in my ability to act that out. So we'll just pretend her voice is infinitely more raspy than it should be.
I could just repeat everything you say.
Exactly. Just imagine Will's voice instead of mine for all of my dialogue.
Are either of you, are you content to just sit there in silence and let this moment be what it is, or are either of you planning to say anything else to each other?
Just everybody quickly looking at their aspects.
I know. I'm like, is there a reason? Like, I know she does have some unspoken awkwardness with Ravenna, but I don't know if this is the right kind of trauma to make that come out. Unless
I'm going to do a not great thing. I apologize in advance. I am going to compel Ravenna. You are sitting next to Lexi, who is very scared still, even though she is coming down.
Mm-hmm.
And you are always eating, never full.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to compel you to feed off of Lexi. Maybe not drastically, maybe just like a taste, but it might even be we could even say that it's involuntary, but you can also refuse the compel by giving me a fate point.
So I think I am going to give you back the fate point, but how that's going to manifest is there is this like brief like moment where like they're kind of sitting there and
I just want to know what you're agreeing to. To be clear, you're not giving me back the fate point that I'm offering you. You're giving me one of your fate points.
Oh, like yeah, that's what I mean. Like reducing my total. Yeah,
cool. Yes,
I have 3. I can go back down to 2. I just gained one for being a shit. I can.
Yes,
that's what I assumed it was. What she just earned for like kicking everybody out was the being shitty to Melissa was the one that's now being returned to not be shitty to Lexi.
Yes, just want to make it clear that I'm not giving you one and then you can immediately give it back to me. You have to give me one of your existing ones.
that is totally fine. Cool. I think Ravenna. It is very Ravenna to pay it forward of being shitty to the parents to actually be okay to her siblings. So I think it manifests as her the kind of mood settles a little bit after the cough, and in the quiet and like not busy mind, the like fear looms, and like I think Ravenna is starting to feel it and feel that inclination, and there's kind of like a shake of her head, and she grabs the one remaining shot, downs the shot, and then gets up and kind of just moves away, like separating herself from the temptation.
Very cool. And that is a very nice scene that did not get ruined, that we will move away from briefly. I do
Great.
want Noctis and Chaz to both roll investigation checks.
You've got it. Like, Noctis is... If you weren't going to, I was going to prompt you to give me the truth is out there. So, because there's got to be an explanation. But
there could be one. One.
Okay, not my favorite, but that's okay. That's a +1.
Okay. You both have ones, which I'm going to say you do sweep the house, but it's a very large place, and you can't possibly check every nook and corner. However, what I said before stands. Everybody appears to have left.
Okay.
And the only help around this place was the one woman.
Amalthea, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Who is probably... I'm assuming you're not going to like open the door to her quarters because she's probably asleep by now. But yeah, she does have a room on the second floor. That's right down the hall from your father's study.
Being ever paranoid, I think Noctis is at least going to listen at the door.
Okay. With a +1, I will say that you do hear Amalthea is a champion snorer. And you do hear her snoring from inside the room.
Well, that was very unfortunate, but we were very lucky that you were there, Chaz. I know Melissa hasn't ever shown you or I any particular love, but it was good of you to save Lexi.
Yeah, I didn't know she was out there. Didn't really care that much, but Lexi was in trouble.
Should have gotten there quicker.
It's totally fine. It was taken care of. I'm just glad it didn't get in the house.
Would it have been able to get in the house? I know we keep on talking about these wards and everything, but I know it is a home, maybe not in the traditional sense. But do you think it could have gotten in?
I don't know. I've fought the spring court a bunch, but I don't think I've ever dealt with a fetch before, so damned if I know. I also don't tend to stay at places that have a real threshold, so...
Well, that... I know you don't like me bringing this up. I am going to use this opportunity. I don't know if tapping the Lost Lord of the Autumn Court or the Mantle of Autumn, but I want to use this opportunity to talk to Chaz about joining for the umpteenth time. I don't know if that's like a self-compel, but
I think that is a fair self-compel. I will take that, and I will say yes, do that thing.
Okay.
And I think you could honestly make a case for a couple different options here, but I do think Lost Lord of Autumn Court would work for this. So take a fate point and give your brother a sales pitch.
I know, Chaz, you don't like it when I bring this up, but the fact that this happened means that we are ever in danger. And not just from like outside forces, but from forces that mean the family harm. I think you're meant to join me. And I think you're meant to join the Autumn Court as our mother, I think, wanted. If you joined, then we would have a king, we would have a lord. We would just have to complete the circle and get the father. And then it would be restored. You'd have a roof over your head. He would have
That's
our
actually a good argument. He had not thought about the 3.
You might even be the father. I mean, you are a very fatherly figure yourself. But if we regain the court, then spring will come in tandem. We are both courts of transition and ushering. We have more responsibility, I would argue, than even the winter and the summer courts do. We do the heavy lifting. They simply exist. I also miss you. And this is not the way I wanted to see my brother again. For a visit.
I was happy to see you as well. And you know that I support everything that you do in my own way. And those bastards need to be stopped, of course. I understand what you are saying. It is not my world, but it is also important. So I tell you what, you find the third, and I'll be the second.
He says in a, like, the entire floor is still. And he turns to you and probably says, like, the worst thing he could probably say. Because he said this before, and it's typically binding. He says, "Do you promise?" Like, he turns his dark red hair, like,
I knew it was coming. I was like, oh no.
Yeah, the coat swirls, and this is for Vicky. Like an acorn, kind of like tumbles out, and like leaves kind of like rustle, and like the wind kind of moves through as if somebody had like opened a door, and the candles go low. He says, "Do you promise?" And it like kind of echoes with gravity because fairies and promises.
That's Chaz would absolutely know how that works. But he puts his hand on your shoulder and says, "Brother, I swear."
Then if I find a third, we will make this happen. I'm so delighted. Thank you, brother.
And it's funny, I rolled, just for my own edification, I rolled presence to see what his resist would be, and he got a 9.
You got
but
a
then
9?
I thought about which part he would be resisting. So
I don't know. I don't know.
And it would be his own nature.
Comparison.
He absolutely would want to go with his brother.
Mm-hmm. Rose before All Hallows.
That's right.
Rose before All Hallows. I love that. That's a great take on resisting that. Is resisting your own nature. Fantastic. All right. The only other thing, as you were kind of having this exchange, one or both of you, as you're having this conversation about the courts and about fetches and things like that, and thresholds as well. You can roll lore if you want to.
Quattro.
Cool.
Is there a way to help out in like the system?
So that would probably be one person's skill modifying another person's skill. And the way that works is if the person whose skill is the modifier has a higher value, then the person who's rolling gets a +1. But if they have a lower value, they get a -1.
Like you're like coach is at your side telling
Right.
you about lacrosse or something like that. So
exactly, yes. But you got a 4. Chris, what did you get?
1.
1.
I've
Okay,
heard
cool.
of fetches.
You have heard of fetches. So what I will say, you have heard of fetches, Chaz, but for Noctis, you have a little bit more information, and I think that is not surprising given your life up to this point. Thresholds. We'll start with thresholds. Thresholds are dependent on a house being a home, as you know. So the real question is, with the primary resident gone, with Alexander Madigan gone, does this house mean enough to anyone left in it to be a home?
If Okay. He says Chaz, and like I guess we're walking, and we walk into like the library, I'm assuming, and just kind of like are going through like maybe we've done this like once as children, where we just like walk kind of through the different like stacks or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
As a Chaz, is this still a home? Given that father is gone.
To Leah, it was somewhere she came to visit father. I don't think she ever stayed here. To Amalthea?
Althea is not immortal.
Whoa.
She's not. She
Oh,
is Fae, and you would know that.
oh, we did decide that, didn't we?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Is she brownie?
Is she what?
Is she a brownie?
Technically, she is a gruff.
Oh.
Yeah, we decided not to go with
Nice.
brown. Yeah.
Yeah.
I honestly can't say that it is, as far as I can think. I think the real worry is how long would the threshold last after his death? And that's probably sunrise, isn't it?
Yes, probably. Like I think we say it both at the same time. Like probably sunrise, isn't it? And we like look at each other like through like over top of two books, like and then like I come around to him. This is our legacy, and there is quite a bit here. I don't care for money, but it might be worth making this your home. I mean, that way you would be protected, this place would be protected, and when our sisters come here, they're protected as well. I know, it's a little, he kind of like checks for dust, and is like, disgusting feeling.
It is an
Now, this
interesting
place has
question.
never exactly had the happiest of memories to me, but to give somewhere for our sisters to be able to stay that is a neutral ground and clean is a good feeling.
It is an interesting
He says
question.
this as he is immediately walking over and locking the front door.
Right.
It is.
Yeah, just
have
fucking
fun.
grip it and rip it, baby.
Hey, thank you for
Slop
the
that
donation.
down, dude.
All right.
Dude, crack one for the
Thank
big
you.
boy.
Hey,
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks, Will's mom.
I was gonna say,
Thanks,
is that your
Mom.
mom?
It
Thanks,
is my
Will's mom.
So I'm going to stay here tonight. It seems right. I think.
I'm going to stay here to make sure that it doesn't, that's not a problem, staying in this place. But
I will say it is an interesting question because in the short term, if you want to keep this place safe, the best way to do that is to establish some kind of emotional connection to it, a positive one, if such a thing were even to be possible. But the threshold will only exist as long as this is someone's home with everything that that entails. Sense of safety and security and affection. And like you said, the threshold is probably already deteriorating in the wake of your father's death. So it could potentially leave everything in here vulnerable, including Amalthea.
Yeah. And that's actually because she practically raised Chaz, and I would not want her to lose that. And Noctis, again, saying just the right thing to convince Chaz. But he would actually go back and where are we convalescing from our fear experience? Is it just the living room?
That would be the place with the most room, probably, I think.
Lexi and Ravena, where were you all chilling?
I don't think we left the coat room yet.
Okay.
Unless someone had made a point to essentially steer Lexi to another room when her mom left. She was just kind of stuck in place and then kind of sat on the couch they put Melissa on in the first place. So
Leah's going to come out with the tea then, and she's going to bring it into the parlor because there's actually like seating and it's not like staring at a bench where we put your unconscious mother. So
yeah, and be close to the music and everything. Yeah,
precariously like balanced tray with like a pot with a cozy on it and like a bunch of cups stacked on each other and like a little thing of honey and like the cream and the sugar like all on the like, okay, so I'm probably not gonna drop it, but like tea if anyone wants it. And she'll put it on like a conveniently centered table in the parlor. It's spearmint and slippery elm and a couple of other things that are, but like I think that'll help with your throat. Yeah. So she'll start like pouring a cup immediately for Lexi and like putting some honey in it.
I think
anybody else wants some?
I think around the time that she resisted like the fear feeding, Ravenna had like moved away and maybe even went to like help you, and like upon you struggling with this, like probably helps you take that tray and like set it, and then like with like looks a little tense in her face and is like, you should probably go get Lexi. She doesn't tell you any more than that, but there's definitely like a very like a tension all through her body of like the act of being over here versus over there.
Okay, so like Leah will like have like the cup that she started preparing for Lexi and like put it on a saucer and like hand that to Ravenna and like, you know, like basically they're like, okay, I guess nothing. All right, and then go to get Lexi. Hey, so it's got a bunch of stuff that should help with because I know
hi.
Your throat's got
yes.
So
yeah.
So like the slippery elm is good for like if you have a sore throat. I don't know if it's going to help the same way, but there's honey and so the spearmint's supposed to be good for like helping like your system like come back to like regulation. It's not like really harsh like peppermint is, and it just smells good. So like that can't hurt, right? Like people having good smelling breath. But it's out in the parlor because the couches are better.
Oh, right.
And if we staying
of
in
course.
here being right. The bench where your mom was, so that's probably not a great idea. But if you want me to bring like a coat or whatever, we've got blankets and stuff because Amalthea was like champion crocheter for like 16 years in a row.
Yeah, you got Afghans for days.
Like, I mean, she claims it's like
I feel like everyone in this family has an Afghan that
exactly
Amalthea made them at some point.
Yeah, like the wool is from her family, and I'm not like 100% certain if that means that like they own the sheep or. But anyway, it's yeah. So we'll get you at least settled for a little bit because you know probably don't want to. Well, like, I mean, you're welcome to stay here. I know that it's not, but like there are a couple of rooms and like you know they're always well kept. They're not necessarily. I mean, like it's not really my house. I don't know why I'm saying that. It's not my house, but like the, you know.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Dad
we don't want to send you back.
Probably turned my old bedroom into a workshop or something by now, but I know he keeps some guest bedrooms, so I guess I could stay here.
I just don't want to send you back by yourself. Like, I mean, like we could. I mean, obviously, like Noctis or Chaz or whatever. Like, but you know, and I mean, I think at the very least we should all talk a little bit.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to bother them to have to like walk me all the way back to my place or something.
I mean, I
can just stay here and
I'm not sending you out there with another one of those things out. But like,
I'm sure it wasn't looking for me. I'm sure it was something to do with Dad's house. So like if I leave, I'm sure I'll be fine. There's no reason it would come looking for me. That's silly. That's magic stuff. I'm not magic.
So probably right about now is when Chaz would be gathering people trying to get you all into the den and chill and grabs a cup of tea. And just does want to bring up. So I just want to talk a minute about the house. So this was Dad's, and I know that for a lot of us, there's not a lot of positive memories in this place. Not the greatest of experiences, but with him gone, it's ours now, and I want to change that. This is going to be ours. This is going to be our sanctum. This is going to be our quiet place, no matter where you are, no matter where you live. This is somewhere you can go to be safe. And I know that for some of us, that's not always the easiest. But I want to turn that memory around.
Are you saying you want all of us to stay here?
You don't have to live here if you don't want to, but realize that you have space here. I'm going to stay here. It's my hardware store down on the back alley. I'm going to have to leave it behind, which is rough. But I want to
Just to clarify, do you live in a hardware store, or do you mean you literally live in an alley? I haven't really been keeping up with you that well these days, and I just needed that answered.
You know what? Don't worry about it.
He says that, and Noctis is doing a little bit of like.
Not really Lord of Autumn behavior, but all right.
But I want each of you to have a space here that if you don't, you're welcome to your own apartments, of course, but if you ever need somewhere to go, this will be here.
Good. I mean, I know the Arbiter didn't give us, not Arbiter. Arbiter?
Executor?
Yes.
Executor. Like...
Arbiter.
I said one in the first episode, and I said one in the second one. And I can't
like,
tell you which one was which anymore.
I mean, I know it wasn't super clear from the pieces of the log where the house is going. Like, that would be useful. But the, yeah, I mean, I kind of assume it's 5 shares of, and Dad did say we're only 5. I don't remember if I actually mentioned that. Because I asked.
That's good. Didn't think about that.
He
Good
knows.
To know. We have not seen the actual will, but I know that it's ours.
Didn't think that there were more. Yeah. Okay, that's a separate issue. But anyway, yeah, I mean, I have to be with my mom some of the time, but she, like, you know, like, we have people that come in, and Amalthea helps too, but I can be here at least some of the time. I mean, I was here for lessons every day anyway, and you know, there's plenty of space. Like, there's like, some of it almost feels like it's like shouldn't be there, that there's a room there, and yet there is. But also I made tea.
It's also, one of the reasons Chaz is bringing this up is the threshold on this place is deteriorating. And I think that is why the fetch was so willful in its actions when it attacked poor Melissa. We can't have that happening again.
Yeah, those are probably pretty weak now. Yeah.
We also need to create a positive connection to this place.
I think that's the point where Ravina's been mostly quiet and just give it to herself because she doesn't actually know she's for sure included in all of us. But the positive connection to this place is the point where there is like a chuckle, like that kind of like awkward like cough laugh that she then covers her mouth for.
Chaz busts out laughing. Yeah, he just laughs his ass off. But he also does pour 5 shots of tequila. So He puts a little bit of salt out for Alexi. He says, "This will help your throat." That is actually a thing. Salt helps your throat.
Well, yes.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have a remedy for my throat they want to toss in here while we're at it?
I mean, salt is spit alcohol, so really it's the same remedy.
Lexi, you know that the Autumn Court is known for its secrets. I will share them later, but it is autumn, and there are holidays coming up. There are 2 birthdays coming up. He looks at his brother. I think that even having a single party here would be enough to do it. I think commiserating is one thing, but not necessarily positive. Victory is another thing. If we solve Father's mystery, I think that could also help as well. Or do all of the above. The floor is open for debate. He just kind of like says, floor is open.
I like Halloween. Yeah, yes.
We could make this a magical school. Sure, maybe Lexi and Leah would be able to lead even just like small classes, creating fond memories here.
I mean, I can't teach magic.
It's like, I'm not even old enough to drink that, technically.
I am simply coming up with suggestions because there's empty space.
Yeah, but maybe, if we think that we should be teaching magic, maybe we should make sure we have some actually qualified instructors to teach magic. I mean, it's just...
You can, my dear, good sister, you are better at photomancy than I could ever be.
And how many wizards do you know that actually think their children should learn photomancy?
Very few, but I could find that answer for you, making you the perfect candidate. You are special.
Sorry, character not laughing, player laughing. It's
Hear me out. It's a magic school, but we only teach photomancy.
The wizard tradition where you take apprentices. We're going to start a school.
And how many kids out there want to learn it and their parents won't let them?
It's a niche market.
Won't send them somewhere.
Yeah,
but it is a market.
Only the rebel.
Hey kids, you want to learn the most useless form of magic there is for wizards? Boy, do I have a deal for you!
Do I have a deal for you?
There's a stream of cameras flying by, and then fake flashes
Help
of light.
us reform our dad's house from being a terrible place where we all grew up. Yeah.
Or didn't grow up, really. I mean, mostly. Actually, if we're talking about statistically, I think Lexi and Chaz are the only ones who did in fact spend any of their childhood in this home.
Yep. But that's fine.
Growing up's overrated. Also, I want to cut in with a thing here.
What, you don't like this banter? This isn't doing it for you?
I love this banter, but something's going to happen while all this banter is flying back and forth. And that something is going to be Chaz. You have this teacup in front of you that I'm assuming you haven't touched because it's not alcoholic. And
it keeps the hands warm. It's very handy.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so you're kind of just holding it in your hands because it feels good. It's warming you up. And you look down at it, and the still unbroken, murky surface of it kind of calls you in. And your mind wanders to a memory. At least it feels like a memory, but it feels like someone else's memory. You don't consciously remember this, but you are being led through a wood a dead wood by the hand, there is a woman in front of you, and she is tall, impossibly tall at first, and then you realize that she's probably a regular height and you are just a child. And she has this long, incredibly beautiful dark red hair that's just like rivers and ringlets, and it's beautiful. She is facing away from you, leading you by the hand, so you can't really get a good look at her face, but she is wearing a dress that is sort of shifting in the colors of the setting sun. And she leads you by the hand, and you step into a glade, and in the center of that glade there is a pool of water in the ground. It is deep, and it is dark. You can't see the bottom. It's murky, but the surface is like a mirror. It's so still. And you are standing next to her now. She pulls you up next to her, and it's one of those things where you want to know what she looks like. You want to look up at her, but that's not what happens in the memory. Instead, you are staring at this pool, and you hear her talk, and her voice is musical. It is possibly sonorous. She says to you, Did you know that the Autumn Court was the first to find a way into the world of mortals?" You don't respond in the memory. She keeps talking. She says, "It's true. It's true. The fetches, they found a way in through the dreams. They were dark and terrified, scared of so much. And our kin found a way through this very pool to enter into those dreams. They found a sort of place for themselves in the world where mortals have accomplished so much because of what they're afraid of. They've come so far in the face of fear and adversity. Symbiotic relationship." And then she pauses for a second and kind of clarifies and says, "We both get something." But without the guiding hand of autumn, I'm afraid they've lost their way. And I'm afraid they may never find their way back to this place. Unless it lives again, somehow, someday. And you kind of see her kneel down next to this child version of you, if you are you, even. And that hair kind of falls into her face as she leans forward over the water. So again, you can't see what she looks like, and she kind of just traces a few fingers across the surface, disturbing that glassy mirror-like surface, sending ripples out across it. And then kind of come back to yourself, kind of jerked out of this memory. I think you maybe I think you're jerked out of this because the cup has started to burn you. It's so hot that holding it for too long has kind of like started to hurt. And so maybe you splash a little bit of the tea as you kind of like jerk back in your memory. Kind of burns you, but not seriously, of course. And you're back in the room.
Like, Noctis, need to talk to you for a minute. I have to assume that was yours because Mom never held my hand for shit.
What?
Oh,
Wait, what?
I'm going to say that you look over to Noctis, and like he's holding a teacup, and he's slowly fading from view, almost as if like he's like a ghost, or like if you've ever seen Supernatural or Buffy or the thing about the witches, Charmed, where like they're like the person is fading away. It looks like that in real time, and like the teacup starts falling through his fingers.
Yeah. Chaz would lunge forward and try to grab him.
I would say anybody with inhuman speed or greater could attempt to grab the teacup. But I know Chaz is technically the fastest. Okay.
Assuming
I
you
mean,
go to
I
grab the
guess
teacup
Leah
or
will
him.
go for the teacup, but the tea is
No.
very hot, so we might let it
Yeah,
just
no, I
go.
think
Yeah.
Chaz can kind of like kind of blur forward and catch the teacup before it hits the ground.
No, I was trying to grab Noctis.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Fair. Okay.
Uh,
then I'm gonna say
up
the
to you,
teacup.
Bill.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna say the teacup shatters on the ground. I think it makes perfect sense that you see Noctis fading from view. Chaz, you kind of leap bodily across the coffee table in front of you and get your hand onto your brother's shoulder just as he fully vanishes. And all of you see both Chaz and Noctis disappear.
There's
What?
probably a description I could give you. Bye-bye!
Well, I wanted to talk about Caesar.
Why do you want? They just disappeared.
I know, and now they can't. Okay.
That didn't look intentional.
Oh, yeah. Actually, Chaz at least didn't look. Yeah, and then she's gonna like look at the broken teacup and be like, "Fuck." Okay. I'm gonna go grab like a broom and a dustpan.
And I
As
think
Chaz disappears, it's the perfect time for me to run to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
I was gonna say, I think at that moment, as you fade from view and the shattered remains of the teacup are lying on the carpet, we'll fade out, pull up top down shot on that broken teacup and the tea spreading across the rug, and we will take a break. We'll be back in about 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. See you real soon, and thanks for hanging out. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it makes sense in a way because I don't think people go, but also like 11 p.m. is the perfect time to go grocery shopping. Like it's empty.
Right?
If you hate dealing with
Yes.
people and
Yeah.
you work late, like actually going shopping at night is like the least miserable time to go shopping.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic. I'll check Google. It's
And
fine.
like in the summers, it's not crazy hot at that time.
Exactly.
And like, yeah, you don't have to rush. You don't have to wait for like people to step out of the way when they're right in front of the thing that you wanted on the shelf.
It's just nice. It's just nice.
But I also feel, I don't know when like most grocery stores like get their kind of like intake. I think it's during the day, but probably early in the morning. I feel like
Usually.
going late at night, you get less options.
I mean, that's true, but like
I actually feel like a lot of restock stuff has happened at night when I've been there.
there's usually so most grocery stores restock several times throughout the day, and I know this because my partner has worked in many grocery stores. But yeah, there's usually a couple delivery trucks depending on the size of the chain and how much business they do.
Yeah, some of the smaller kind of like mom and pop-ish kind of stores in like Philly. Sorry, I'm getting a siren.
That's fine.
Speaking
Just
of
add it to the
Philly, represent. I feel like I'll be like, hey, do you have any of these like egg things? I don't know. That's not how I talk in a grocery store. But they're like, sorry, we're out of that. And they're like, we order them every week, but we're not a chain. So sellers will usually give those things to like the chains and not us, and we have to wait our turn if there's a surplus. I'm like, I did not know that. And that's really unfair. But that
It
kind of
is.
makes sense.
Support your local grocery store, folks, even if it's not the most convenient option. And much like we support local businesses, we are going to rejoin our siblings, our twins, who are supporting each other in
Bring it
their
around. Yep.
travel
Wait,
to the Never Never.
Yeah.
And
Also, was
landed.
this like the thing? And
Nailed
you were
it.
like, oh, it's a surprise. I'll get to it when I get to it. Like this
Yeah,
was the
this is a surprise.
They were.
Surprise! I thought you were going to launch yourself into a promo there, sir.
For what?
Much like we support local.
Oh, shit, that would have been good.
Yeah, shoot up for
the First
we're
Nations Development Institute, for
I'm gonna go
instance.
back to the Be Right Back screen, and then we'll come back into the stream and just pretend like that's the real one.
I was like, oh, he's going to cut a promo.
Yeah.
Shit, I should have. It's fine. You know, support local businesses, support local nonprofits and charities like the First Nations Development Institute, which we do right here. If you'd like to help us with that, you can !donate in the chat and then hit the link and donate and grip and or rip it as your preference may dictate. Sorry, intrusive thoughts. So
For me.
Noctis and Chaz.
Yes.
You have faded from the view of your other siblings, leaving them kind of slack-jawed in the parlor of your father's house. And I'm curious, where have you ended up?
I can answer that question, unless, Chris, do you want to take this one?
No, I am as slack-jawed as they are.
Does Chaz know?
I don't think it does. We are currently in the very seat of power of the Autumn Court. Noctis is sitting in the throne, and like when he like kind of realizes what's happening, he immediately stands up as if like he's been caught a little bit, and then looks to Chaz. Again, like the Autumn Throne itself, like like weaving kind of like gnarly, kind of skeletal branches like form the back, like leaves that flutter away, but never seem to quite like diminish. They always replenish themselves somehow. Everybody's favorite description, like fire opals about the size of a child's head, like on either arm at the very end, and like
standard unit of measurement. Yeah,
standard child head skull.
We love the consistency.
Opal. And then like copper and gold being woven throughout the woodwork. I imagine it's just like a big open glade, and like there are autumn trees all around. It's constantly golden hour, the best time to get a picture taken. But there are also like parlors and like side rooms, as it were, like other little tiny glades that kind of like happen. But there are like structures as well, but they seem crumbled and a little like sunken. So, and he's Noctis says, "Oh, terribly sorry."
We were having tea.
Yes. Brother, the closer I would like to think, the closer I come to reestablishing the court, the stronger my connection becomes to it. If I tarry in another place, it draws me back here.
This is normal if you stay in the physical realm for too long.
If I'm not occupied. Apparently holding a teacup counts as unoccupied, and he like kicks like like a stone like out of his way. And he's like, I made us both look awfully foolish. I can return us if you give me a moment.
Hold on. First, did you have also the memory with Mom and the reflection pool? Because I know it wasn't mine.
I was having a memory, yes. I was having a reverie.
You, Noctis, yes, you, Noctis, have a lot of memories of your mother. You don't seem to recall a reflecting pool in any of them.
Granted, I have not explored the palace to its utmost. And he looks tired. He looks like he's like spinning a dozen different like plates and like just constantly like going between them. But like he just relaxes around you and he looks sad and tired with his like black kind of eclipse like eyes. And he says, uh, I've been meaning to explore it more and hopefully with you.
All right. Hold on. Have a seat. Sit down. You look like hell. You need a break, man.
I do. But
have you found any? And I'll try to describe the reflecting pool and the walk as an area in the woods that he might have seen.
So,
seems no, I have no memory of that place.
You don't have any memory of this, Noctis. Chaz, as you are describing the walk to the reflecting pool, you're kind of like turning around, you start recognizing things in the glade. But in the memory, they were dead. These trees were dead. They were not covered in like beautiful fall foliage. They were just skeletons of themselves. And the sky was gray, and the ground was gray and dead, and nothing seemed to be growing here. But you can recognize enough placement that you turn around and you're like, no, but there were two trees there, and we walked in between them in that direction.
Can I retrace my steps from the memory?
If you'd like to try, yeah, you can.
I'm going to try. Be like, this seems important. Come on, over here.
If need be, I would love to give Chaz some kind of assist.
Okay.
If I can get him. And not just follows his younger brother.
Okay, fantastic. I think that makes perfect sense. I think in this particular case, I think in this particular case, I'm going to have you roll survival. And I will say, Chaz, you are going to be the roller here, and Noctis, your survival will modify Chaz's. So what do you have?
Because I'm a city boy, and I those are trees. I know that those are trees.
Okay.
So I'm assuming you have a +0 in survival.
That would be a 0 in survival in the woods.
Cool.
Yes.
Okay. So you're gonna have to help me out here. As a world walker, I can use my lore in place of my survival. However, I also get a +2 to my lore and survival. If I'm sitting at a +2 lore, do I get a +4?
You would. I believe the bonus counts. I believe the bonus comes into play when you are trying to find portals, specifically when you are trying to find gaps. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong about that.
I will look right now, and it is long enough. Yes. All lore and survival checks regarding the geography of the Never Never and other trivia involving it are made at a +2. And you may use your lore instead of survival while there.
Cool. Then I will say, sure, you can count it. It doesn't really matter because as long as your lore is higher than Chaz's, you will give Chaz the bonus. So Chaz, you are going to be rolling at a +1 because Noctis is helping you.
So I don't even have to roll.
You don't have to roll because your skill is modifying Chaz's skill.
So he says, right here? Oh, okay. There. Well, I did see a sprout over here somewhere.
I'd like to use the aspect Bros Before All Hollows that I really trust him. And I'm going to trust his knowledge of these woods more than mine as I describe the memories to him so that I can re-roll this garbage.
Absolutely.
Now, I re-roll all of them or just a certain number?
Oh, no, yeah, all of them.
All of them, okay. I can't keep my one success. Oh, okay. The 5566, I'll take that. So that'll be a 6 with his +2. Or not, 5, you said +1.
Yeah, you get a +1. So that is amazing. Yeah, you get a 5, which is superb. That is like the pinnacle of excellence. So between the two of you, Bros Before All Hollows, between the two of you, you are able to figure out the path from your memory, and you walk between the trees. Again, it's very eerie. It's very strange because there are there are leaves, there's foliage, everything is kind of alive and in that transitional period into dormancy, but still very, very vibrant. And walking along the path, you come to another smaller clearing. And Noctis, I think you recognize where you are. You have been here before, but you didn't think of it because there's no reflecting pool in this clearing. There's a hole in the ground. There's a pit, and you were never really sure what it was there for. But it's certainly not a reflecting pool.
Is there currently just a pit?
Yes, it is just a sort of a depression in the ground.
Oh,
So in my memory, it was basically winter. Everything here was dead, but the reflecting pool was there.
I would say it wasn't even winter. It wasn't cold. It was just
Okay.
dead.
Everything was dead. This was the
Yes.
fall after the fall of the Autumn Court, basically. But Noctis is trying to reestablish it. Has that caused the growth to come back?
Yes.
Okay, so it's not like I didn't have a memory of the future of everything being dead or something weird like that.
It doesn't seem like it. I don't think you ever saw this place before Noctis took up the autumn mantle, but it was it was dead, yeah. And when Noctis claimed the throne, things started to come back to life and grow again.
So let's say, yeah, before you came back and took the throne, everything here was basically dead, right? And there's trees, foliage.
yeah.
Because that's what I remember. This childhood, it was mom
Yes.
walking us through the woods. I sure as shit don't think it was me, but you don't seem to remember it.
No.
And it was a reflecting pool, and she was explaining how autumn were the first to cross over to the mortal realm.
That makes sense.
And it was fetches in our vassals that crossed over to human dreams, and how fear drove humanity in all of their endeavors in a symbiotic relationship. I did not know that fetches used to be vassals of ours. And the lack of pool, that doesn't seem good.
No. But this, like, he kind of like, he's like, I honestly thought this was a privy or something like that. I haven't used it like that.
No, good. Good.
I promise. He shakes his head and he says, this is not good. If the fetch came from, we are the court of fear, but we are also the court of dreams. All of the courts have their own, like, spring is awakening, and then we have the alertness of the summer, and we have sleep as winter. But we are the ones of dreams.
So this might not have been about Dad as much as it was about us coming back. Is this fetch have something against Autumn?
No, it attacked.
What did the fetch say again? I forgot.
Fetch said, the sun will set.
I feel like we might say that at the same time. The sun will set.
I want you roll to. I want you both to roll alertness.
God.
Okay.
Ooh. Oh. Noctis has no alertness, so he has a 0.
The -2 gets me to a 2.
Okay.
I have supreme initiative, but and a very high alertness, but I just rolled like garbage.
This is anxiety producing, guys.
Could spend fate points if you want. Could stick with your rolls as they stand. I'm good either way.
I'm gonna stick with this one. This is very unnerving for Chaz at this point.
Okay. I'm sitting on a couple of fate points. I haven't spent any.
There's at least one up for grabs too, because we got a donation.
Oh, we got a donation. Now that's great. I feel like we should keep that in the pool, the pile of fate.
Which I will make. I just forgot to
Yes.
do it again.
Yes. We'll use that for the pool. It's not here.
I mean,
I feel like either the Lost Lord of the Autumn Court or
These are your
Rose
woods.
Before All Hallows or Trick or Treat, I feel would work. Or even the all of these are a little bit like autumn. I'm in my seat of power,
You
I
are,
think
yes.
we can try and give it a reroll.
Okay. I personally kind of like Trick or Treat. I think that's neat.
Yeah, I really want to. I want to use that one more.
yeah, but you should use something because when you're rolling for like alertness, like bad things happen. Please, yeah. Come on. I can't help you. I'm not there.
That's okay. Well, that's a +1 at least.
Okay.
So I got a 2.
Right behind my little brew.
Right. Okay. So we got a 2 and a 1. Okay. Cool. Nothing going on.
No immediate effect. Yeah.
Nope. Nothing's really going on here. Everything seems normal.
Noctis says,
I hate this.
I would hate to think that any of our vessels have simply been. I know that the other Fae use them, and I know they act on their own accord, but I had no idea they were related to the Autumn Court. I should have seen that. But it attacked Melissa, and it attacked Lexi. The sun will set. I mean, I am not going to make this about me, but would it be about you?
I would think that that's talking about ending the Autumn Court, is what it sounds like to me off the top of my head, which isn't a great thing. Why did the fetches go out of contact with Autumn? Because do you remember growing up hearing anything about them?
Yes, I mean, I grew up here. Will.
I mean, you did grow up here. You kind of grew up. I mean, we have not really touched on this, but I kind of assumed that you sort of grew up a little bit on the run with your mom, like in the Never Never for sure, but definitely not necessarily here in the Seat of Autumn's power. You may have visited here once or twice, but it was dead until you were able to claim it, essentially. And for whatever reason, your mom never claimed it. Your mom, you don't know if maybe she couldn't get here or if she didn't want to or what the deal was, but
so we established that our dad was her bodyguard in some way. That he had, it seems from what we know, that he was assigned by the White Court to protect the White Council to protect her. He was assigned by the White Council to protect her for some reason. We don't know what from or why.
No.
That is true, unless you would like to roll scholarship. Unless one of you would like to roll scholarship.
Yes,
to kind of fill
from
in
all
the
my
gaps.
years in college.
And just as well, we're going to throw it together.
I got it too.
Oh, I actually got a +2.
Nice. Okay. So I think you would both be able to put together enough of the stories that you have kind of pieced together more or less an accurate picture of what happened. Your mother was seeking political asylum, essentially, from the White Council as a refugee from the fall of the Autumn Court. And how long she had been a refugee of the Autumn Court is impossible to say. But the White Council did appear to have offered her a protection, a measure of protection. And your father was the warden assigned to protect her. However, she did not end up staying in your father's protection. And the reason for that is probably because wardens aren't supposed to get their political charges pregnant. However,
oopsie doodle,
and then you two came along, so your mother was under the protection of the White Council for probably far longer than she was associated with your father. However, she was at one point your father's charge, and then she left that by the order of the White Council, essentially.
Do we know how long ago the fall of the Autumn Court was?
Actually,
question.
I actually don't think you do. I think it is probably somewhat incalculable by mortal reckoning.
Because of time and
Yeah.
the Never Never don't exactly link up. So okay, Noctis kind of like rifles through his like thoughts, and he's like, "No, I think that is the timeline, brother. I think you are completely correct in that. So, but we maybe visited here 2 or 3 times, but we were on the run. I remember staying in a small fort with Wildfay, and then like once we met with the Spring Court, and we kind of commiserated, or I played with other children and they commiserated. And then at one point, Summer Court was trying to make a move, and we stayed at their fort for a season. But we stayed in nice places. I learned many things, but this wasn't my home originally.
That's so strange. This memory, I don't know whose it was, but it was definitely a Queen of Autumn. It was definitely after the fall of the court, but the pool was still here. So
It was our mother, brother. That's your memory. Do you remember what she looked like?
no,
It's like
all I saw was her dress and her hair.
Ever-changing shift of sunset colors, right?
Yes, but honestly, I don't remember what she looks like to begin with.
As the years pass, I find it more difficult as well.
I think you both would hear a voice from behind you at that moment
Yeah.
that says, "Perhaps I can add some illumination."
Immediately, knife out.
Yeah, absolutely. If you turn to look, there is a Fey Lord leaning against the tree. And immediately you know that he is a Fey Lord because he is impossibly beautiful. And he wears the heraldry that marks him as such. He is wearing a suit of very fitted and finely crafted silvery chainmail, which is tied under a tabard that depicts a grayish blue sun peeking over the horizon. His hair, which is long and kind of wild but also free flowing, is a similar sort of grayish color, like the sky before a storm. And his eyes, which are somehow both very human and also very alien, are a similar sort of deep color, almost like a purplish, almost like a thunderhead.
Chaz would immediately space off from Noctis so that they were flanking him. But from my war with the Spring Court, do I recognize the heraldry?
Oh yeah, this dude's Spring Court for sure.
And what would a lord of the Spring Court have to say to us?
You must announce yourself at the gate before you enter, don't you know? Or has etiquette left you?
I, of course, simply just arrived. I believe I am here to announce myself to the Lord of Autumn.
Just kind of like gives like a keep the weapons out, but stay yourself a second to his brother, and he says, "We are waiting. You may address the Lord of Autumn and his brother."
Should it please you, I think for the time being, you may call me Veers. Virs, Virs. If you want to write it down, if you're nasty.
Yeah, nasty. I am. So, Lord Veers. I am the Lord of the Autumn Court, Noctis Duskfell. This
I
is
know who
my
you are, of course.
Well, you may also know my brother then, if you seem and deem yourself so knowledgeable. This is and he's just like, do you want? He kind of mouths like, "Do you want to use the name Madigan?"
I'm Noctis's brother.
And that is enough for you to know. He said quickly, like sealing that silence, like in between the two.
Absolutely. I do. Remind me, is it Charlemagne? Is that your full name?
It's Crepuscule.
Crepuscule.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
I didn't want to pronounce it. I was like, oh.
It's a word for sunset.
Yep.
He hates that damn name.
Sunset and early dawn, by the way. Yeah.
Without even looking at Chaz, he says, "I, of course, know who you are, Crepuscule Madigan. Your reputation precedes you." Especially in your dealings with my kin.
That does make me smile a little bit.
And what brings you here, Lord Veers? Cousin of Autumn and Lord of Spring. We are both rebuilding our courts. Have you news to report?
I wanted to make initial introductions and see if perhaps there was some future here between the two of us, our two courts.
Of course. I would love for there to be. I know as I grow my court, I know your court, through rumors and stories, also grows at the same rate. We are the usherers of the other seasons, but we have... I'm not quite sure why we have fallen. Do you?
Who, if you don't mind me asking, has instructed you in the matters of the Autumn Court and the Spring Court? Who has told you of our history and our purposes?
My mother, of course. The Queen.
Of course. Would you like to make an empathy check?
I would. Not bad. That's a 5. I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's a 4. That's a 4.
4. Okay, cool. Okay. With a 4, he appears to be trying to size you up. He appears to be trying to figure out how much you know without asking you how much
cool.
you know.
Then I'm going to roll a presence in response.
Okay, absolutely.
All right. Not terrible. That is a 4. Actually,
Mom, poker face.
Oh, actually, I'm... what are you doing?
Nothing. I'm not doing it.
That is a 5. Because of mark of power. I keep on forgetting that. So
yes. And he definitely cares about that, so that is good to know.
I was about to be like, all 3 of us here probably have mark of power.
Yes. Yeah. What are you doing to establish your presence as being, powerful and worthy?
I would like, if Chaz allows me, to walk up to Chaz and like take his hand and kind of like we both hold our hand like aloft. He could do it with a dagger or something like that, and I would imagine like the trees, they rustle, the leaves, they flow, and maybe even for just a moment, definitely like Noctis gets like a little bit of like the gloam around him, the shadows move, like, things flicker in the golden light. But maybe, just maybe, it also extends to him to a degree. And like being in his homeland, maybe he takes on a certain aspect as well. I don't know.
I would
take
also
that.
see it being, because we have the different kind of the twins with the different aspect kind of thing, that it would be Noctis getting lighter and Chaz getting darker.
Oh, that's great.
That is great.
Yeah, I would like
That
that.
is
Actually.
very, very good.
Because your hair isn't like red but nearly black, and mine is just dark red, right?
Yep. You have the golden skin tone. I'm pale as fuck.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, so that happens, and maybe those aspects become more stark and distinct.
Yes, absolutely. And he will unconsciously or consciously, hard to say, his manner changes to deferment. His manner changes to be a little more
Respectful.
prostrate. Yeah. And he says, I understand that your origins, as powerful as you've become and as easily as you've taken up this lost mantle, long thought untouchable, you come from the mortal world. You share a mortal's lifespan. Perhaps I could be of some service in informational capacities.
And what would it gain you, cousin?
If our two courts are to work in tandem as we once did, it would benefit all of us if you knew more about the world and our place in it.
And do I know who stands to take the mantle of spring, or has somebody claimed it?
I don't think you know that.
Do I
Something
know?
you could
I know
ask
that
him.
you said that you said that I recognize his heraldry. Is he the BMFIC of spring right now?
I think that is also something that Chaz has been working on figuring out for a while, but you have not had any luck. You know that spring is back, baby, and you've seen that mark, but you have not actually been able to glean any sense of who it is that's sort of carrying the torch the way that Noctis is for Autumn.
Yeah, that's probably a question we've been trying to answer. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Noctis looks to Chaz if he has anything to ask or say.
So does this have something to do with Spring's underground war against the mortal realm that you're currently pulling off?
What an interesting question.
Very direct.
I would not call it a war by any means. We have goals that we must accomplish in order to maintain the balance of power amongst the seasons and amongst the mortal world and the Never Never. But I wouldn't call it war.
Oh,
we have nothing personally.
I've seen plenty of actions on the part of Spring that would make it lean in that direction.
Violence makes monsters of us all, doesn't it? I have seen some of your handiwork.
Oh, good. Thanks. It's nice to be recognized.
Noctis tries to suppress a smile, but doesn't.
So what would you be looking for from Autumn in this war?
Once again, we have no plans to wage war on anyone. But I would once more, all of us would once more like Autumn and Spring to be side by side.
And Noctis is, do you promise that? Is he true Fae? Is he real Fae?
He appears to be true Fae. He is not a changeling.
Okay. So he can't lie, right?
That is true.
But he's also said that he doesn't think what they're doing now is war.
Can't lie. Doesn't mean he can't bend the truth.
I would. But do you promise this?
Would you like me to swear?
I mean, I swear that autumn will not make war with spring, nor would we ever, and the thought had not crossed my mind. I swear
Without
all.
hesitation. Without hesitation, Veers says, I swear by spring that we would not wage war with autumn.
I swear that I will bring spring up, as long as autumn also thrives.
And I swear that spring will fulfill the cycle in helping autumn beckon in the next season.
For all time, he adds.
Do you want him to say that?
He looks expectantly. He's just like, next season is next season, but the next season for all time is forever.
For all time.
For all time. And then he says, and I swear it.
As do I.
And goes over and he shakes his hand.
He will do so as well, but I think he's going to go for the warrior's clasp. If you're shaking his hand, he'll figure it out. But clasp. And he says, and in that same sense of camaraderie, if you have any questions or anything about autumn that you're unsure of, I may not lie. And I know that the two of you, with your origins being as they are, that is not a limitation that you possess. You may trust that I speak truth to you.
Thank you, cousin. He says, why did our seasons fall? Our mother, she could have reestablished it at any time. I know this, but she did not. She was a refugee.
Winter and summer were greedy, tired of being kept in check. They saw an opportunity, and they took it.
You're saying that the winter and summer courts destroyed autumn and spring.
For a time.
The fetches that were once under our command, they have gone rogue. My mortal family members, our mortal family members, he kind of sighs and chastises himself for a little bit internally for forgetting that. Our family members have been assaulted as of this very night. Why would they assault those associated with us?
Many of them pledged themselves to winter in the aftermath.
That's what I was waiting for.
And he looks at Chaz and he's just like, you think it's winter? But what would they have against us aside from...
I don't know if it's specifically winter or if it is the fetches themselves. Did they feel betrayed by us? Or did they betray us?
Lord Veers, you have the floor.
I'm not sure they were left with many options. After the court fell, many Fae chose a side, different from the one they were born into. Some chose to remain wild, but most bent the knee.
But that was after the fall of the court. Did the fetches have anything to do with the fall of the court?
No. No, not to the best of my knowledge, although I imagine they were desperate.
Protection is important.
Well, and they lost They lost their home. He sort of nods past you to the hole in the ground. This was the dream spring at one point, when autumn was in full power.
And do you have a sister pool of awakening?
There's no need for one. Dreaming is a different place in a way. An awakening is merely the act of leaving, coming back to the real world, as it may be called.
Hmm.
But when this was full, it was connected to all of mortality. When they slept, everything they saw, everything they dreamt, it was within.
Do you know how the pool could be restored?
Only a Lord of Autumn could do that. But I know not how.
Do you know, are you the last of your line? Have you chosen to claim the throne of spring?
Someone does sit on the throne of spring, much like yourself, but I am not at liberty to say who.
That's fair.
That's fair. We would love an introduction at some point, if you were to be able to pass that along.
I certainly will.
Last question. Do you know where our mother is? I don't know if she has died or passed.
Well, we rarely die, Lord of Autumn. But I don't know where she is. No one does.
Has the same thing happened to the Spring Court, where the nobles scattered?
No. The nobles of spring met a far worse fate.
I hesitate to ask what.
Somewhere out there. They still live, if you can call it that. But they are cut off, frozen in time, contained. They will probably never see the light of day again.
Has one of the other courts taken them?
Almost certainly. And that is one thing that we intend to find out.
If Lord Veers, while the Autumn Court is the Court of Secrets, I know that the Spring Court is the Court of Revelation. We are trying to solve the mystery of our mortal father's death. And it might have a connection to the recent attack by the Fetch. If we called on you to help us with any of these revelations, would that put us further in debt to you?
Alexander Madigan was no friend to either the Autumn Court or the Spring Court. You'll be hard-pressed to find any allies here in the Never Never.
As he destroyed monsters, and monstrous are we.
He's done a great many things. My time here grows short. I am needed elsewhere, but these initial introductions have proved more fruitful than I could have hoped.
Well, I think, if anything, both of our courts are about community and togetherness.
He smiles at you, says, "We certainly are."
It was a pleasure meeting you. And he...
One more question. You said the fetches swore allegiance to Winter. Do you know to whom? To whom do they answer now? Does anyone hold that leash?
Any of the nobility, I'd imagine. Any of the unseelie.
That might be a conversation that needs to be had across the lines.
Noctis just looks around and then like puts his hand inside his coat and just pulls forth like a bright red maple leaf, and he says, "Should you need us?"
Of course. He will reach out and he will take it. He will say, "I have something for you in return, of course." He will kind of reach under the tabard of his armor and he will pull out a bottle of lightning.
I'm speechless. He says, and he hands it to like Chaz. He's like, "Can you believe it? But what? For what occasion?"
In the spring court, we ride the lightning. Should you need me, all you have to do is open the bottle, unleash it. It will call to me, and I will be at your side, Lord of Autumn.
"Thank you, Lord Pierce." And he like polite and like nod. I will not keep you, and we must return as well.
And apparently true to his word, he nods to you, and there is a crack of thunder as he arcs up into the sky of the Never Never as a bolt of lightning.
Noctis turns to like Jazz and says, "Fuck." It's brother, it's happening.
Well, I don't trust that guy at all, but I don't think he was lying.
I don't think so either. I pulled out as many Fey legalese words as I could, to be honest. We should get back to our family.
Yeah, do you need a break first? I know that you were called back here because you've been away too long.
He smiles warily as like somebody who's like, I don't know, done like 24 hours of gaming or something for charity, and says, "I can keep going." He says, "I might just need to shut my eyes, but we should, and I don't think you can return without me. So I'm going to try and cut a tear in the Never Never and bring us back."
Yeah, I will say you can absolutely swift transition back into Madigan Manor. You can tell me what it looks like.
I would love Chaz's help with this. I imagine like the camera pans around us and we are in the middle of a glade and it goes behind a tree and we are not there anymore. Um, there's probably a flickering of flames if there are candles, right, Chaz?
Yeah. I would say that in the mortal realm, there's probably a hefty gust of wind. People will have to blink for a second, and then we were there.
Mm-hmm. Would we appear just like dark and light again, and then that would like quickly kind of like fade away, like if you blinked or something like that, or
the after image effect?
Yeah. And I think we're back.
And I like the idea that in this sort of like swirling gust, you appear, and it just kind of like there's a raked pile's worth of leaves that just kind of like it's blown around the room, and someone's gonna have to clean it up. But
is everybody still sitting there?
Yeah. So what happened? What I'm gonna say is that the image of Noctis for the rest of you faded, and the image of Noctis for the rest of you faded, and then you saw Chaz bodily sort of just like leap over the coffee table, grab onto Noctis. The two of them disappear in the blink of an eye, and Noctis's teacup tumbles to the ground, shatters, and the tea spreads out to the carpet. And as soon as you all like pick up on that fact and start to react, they're back in a swirl of wind and light and darkness and a few leaves that get blown around the living room.
Chaz just walks over to the pours a couple of drinks, hands one to Noctis. So what were we talking about?
Forgive our absence. How long were we gone? He said, Ravenna, how long were we gone?
Not long. It's long enough to scare everyone.
Oh.
What are you talking about? Nothing happened. We've been here the whole time.
Yeah. I'm going to grab that broom. No, but she'll like poke her head back in the door, like as she goes to like the kitchen to grab the broom and be like, I wanted to talk about Caesar. Telling me, yeah. And then like go back and grab the broom and then like come back in.
Sisters, we have more information than we left with, and I apologized for that. Chaz, you had something to say before. I feel like you were saying something before we left, but
yes.
Making
the comment that a revelation came to me in the form of a memory that may or may not be mine, but it was definitely the knowledge that the Fetch were Autumn vassals. The original first Fae to cross over the line and interact with the humans in their dreams through the dream pool that was in the Autumn court. However, now that Autumn has fallen, the pool is gone, and the Fetch have aligned with Winter. Now, whether Winter is sending them against us or whether the Fetch are out to make amends for the betrayal that they feel they received, it's worrisome that this might not have as much to do with Dad as it does to do with the Autumn Court.
There is also the ominous warning that the sun will set. I would hate for the warning to have been crafted by somebody intentionally and have the double entendre fall flat. I'm assuming it means sun. Maybe as like in male, but it could also mean the sun will set on autumn. This may be a threat from Winter.
Wouldn't a setting sun kind of align with autumn anyway?
It kind of like blinks his like dark gold eyes and he says, I hadn't thought of that, and I should have. Thank you. Leah, you are crafty as ever. That's very clever.
Like that is one of your images, right? Like your icons of autumn, like sunset colors and like more than one outfit of yours over the years.
You're judging me, sister.
No, I'm merely pointing out a consistency here. Like nobody makes purple and orange look quite so good. So.
he kind of nods and laughs. It's like, seriously, this is just my shame, and I shall wear it. I hadn't thought of that, but you are completely correct. That is the iconography. But if it's
I don't know if the Fetches still consider themselves of Autumn.
I guess as much as it was a threat, maybe it's also a promise? Or
aren't all threats really when it comes down to it?
Mm-hmm. It's true.
Especially when, I mean, no disrespect to ourselves, but it is a little tired, isn't it? Threats being promises, I mean, and they being the unlying creatures that they are.
I worry that a discourse with Winter is needed.
Maybe. We were visited by an envoy of the Spring Court.
What, 3 ghosts? No.
And he dared to ask us where we went to school. But he promised not to hurt us, and he promised to lift us up as long as we lifted them up. Court to court. And like he just kind of like goes into it. I don't want to repeat the entire scene. And like between the two of them, I think we fully kind of like fill everybody in. And that's it. He vanished in a bolt of lightning.
That's fun.
It don't ever look at lightning, by the way, sisters. It will blind your retinas. Kind of like rubs his eyes.
But he heavily implied that the Fey courts were not huge fans of Dad in the slightest. So, add another possible culprit to the murder.
I think on that note, actually specifically, Ravenna's going to echo the word that Noctis said a while ago before you spiraled into that story of tired. Father was winding down in his study the last time you saw him, correct, Leah?
Yeah, he was.
And fetches, as you have both described, prefer dreams.
Oh.
And bodies, presumably of someone using dreams to assault, would be found in the room because
That
they
wraps
wouldn't
up the
be in
murder
the room,
nicely.
correct?
If he had been assaulted in his sleep by a fetch, that would explain the lack of body of his attacker and why there were no defensive marks or the signs of a fight.
Ravenna,
Mhm.
can you roll contacts for me?
Sure. Oh. Alright, I'm gonna get a +0 because I don't like people or people don't like me. But let's see what I
That's
got
very
added
fair.
onto that. And that's gonna be an even 0 on the dice as well. So just a
Great.
strong 0. A strong
Okay, I
neutral.
mean,
Strong 0.
you
Strong
can spend
zero.
you can spend a
Mighty.
fate point if you want, or you can stick with that.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
No, I think that's a worthy spend of a fate point. But I am bringing a 0 into this, so I actually think it might be better to just +2 that
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
than
take your
try
2.
and
Yeah.
roll. Yeah, I'm gonna just do the +2.
Okay, I'd agree with that. What do you think? What aspect do you think you're tapping?
To have knowledge about this.
To have knowledge about the local supernatural underground, especially the
Oh,
deviant side of it.
that's gonna have to be either White Court, Black Sheep, or Fear's a Drug because I've definitely bounced around into some more suspect circles because I don't just fit into my clique, so to speak.
I think fear is a drug is a good one in this regard, and I think so. What I'm going to say is, Ravenna, you're listening to this conversation, and your takeaway from it is kind of like, oh, we need a fetch. We need to talk to a fetch to really get the answers to any of this. And you would know that there is a place in town. It's like a club, but it's like a secret club where specifically White Court who feed on fear can go basically to leech off. And they do have a couple of fetch basically on payroll. You don't know if they are wild fae. You don't know if there's the result of some sort of pact with the Winter Court, but you do know that they're there and they scare people, and the White Court vampires get to feed on that, and everybody wins.
Except mortals.
Yeah, except
Hey, there are
mortals, but
adrenaline junkies out there that, it's like a
Yeah,
roller
yeah.
coaster.
it's true.
But the being fed off of probably makes that not so. Yeah, like
Yeah, and you would know that the common street nomenclature for this place, maybe this type of place you don't know, but you've only ever been to the one, is the haunted house.
Perfect. Love it.
It is autumn.
Yeah. Seems like we must fetch a fetch, so to speak.
Haha.
So that occurs to you as your siblings are sitting around talking about this, but you can keep that on in your back pocket if you want to.
No, I think she will volunteer that it seems it might be best to have an extended conversation with the fetch. And that is something I might be able to provide.
Agreed.
That would be wonderful. Thank you.
That is a brilliant observation.
Um,
Why would we think that one would tell us anything?
They could at least give us information about, can a fetch even do that? How would they have gotten into his mind? How would they have gotten over the threshold? And could they kill someone in a dream?
Are we gonna make the Winter Court mad?
Might be a moot point at this point if they sent a fetch to kill Dad.
I don't want this to be about the Fae. I don't want this to be about the Winter Court waging war to squash the smaller courts just because they're budding again. I don't want to think that they had the gall to kill our father. Terrible as he was to all of us, and in some small instance or large. I feel like that would be a bad thing. But it would be the easiest thing for a fairy to do, is to attack a mortal, to get at the others.
It's a good theory.
I think talking to a fetch is actually a very good starting point for this investigation. First real lead we've had.
It's true. We can call upon the Spring Court if we want, if we wish.
Yeah, well,
it seems a little soon.
Takes about. I'm just gonna hold on to this.
You hold on to that, please.
The fetch that I have access to, so to speak, are probably less likely to defer to allegiances.
A wild Fae fetch would be preferable. They would probably know at least about the history of breaking with autumn, and they chose not to go to winter, most likely. Hello,
And
sit
they
still,
may know the
please.
fetch that came to deliver a terrible warning and choke our sister.
Oh, that guy, that's Fred. Everybody hates Fred.
Oh, well, I mean, that's great. He's gone. But, Ravenna, would you be willing to take a lead on this? And have you spoken to a fetch before?
We've had a recreational relationship with the few. Not that one. Seeing
No,
Lexi's look. Definitely not that one.
Well, I wasn't thinking Netflix and chill at all, so... No, it didn't even enter my mind.
That actually wasn't what I was thinking so much as, like, you know, the great monster helping monster eat things / you might have known the one that went after Lexi. Yeah. But yeah, sure. Netflix and chill. Gross. Anyway.
Oh, yes. But
There are horror movies on Netflix. All right. If you want some assistance, I do not mind watching your back.
I would want to be there too. I don't want anybody else hurt. If this is due to court business, I should be there and I should bear the brunt of the blame.
Sisters, you feel like going to the club?
I was going to say, shouldn't we all go? What
tonight?
Maybe in, like,
maybe tomorrow. I think Noctis could use a rest.
And given the appetites of the and Ravenna does look very, like, kind of embarrassed and uncomfortable to frankly be talking about this because it was not from a pleasant time in her life. Given the appetites of those involved where we'll be visiting, Lexi should have a rest and some time to call before we go anywhere near there.
That's fair.
Yay.
I must warn you all, as I told Chaz, if I am not occupied and there is nothing pressing, the Throne of Autumn will return me to the seat. And that I imagine it might happen in uncertain and unfortunate circumstances. I haven't put it into practice, but I imagine if I fall in battle, I will return there. Should it come to that. But apparently also drinking tea, and he tries to help pick up the pieces, is one of those triggers. And I am sorry for that.
Okay.
I'm a liability.
So maybe not the tea. Anyway, so tomorrow we're gonna go to a White Court Club where they feed on fear and try and muscle a confession out of a non-human fae. Preferably a wild fae, so
Ask.
piss off
Conversations are allowed.
the Winter Court, who may already want us all dead. And for now, there's tea. And Noctis may or may not blink out of existence when drinking it.
For now, I think going to bed it'd be a good idea for
So-
everyone.
Caesar.
Yes.
Yeah. So when we were
Gangster? Everybody else? Gangster? He was carrying a gun in his coat.
What?
maybe.
Why would a
so-
handsome, hopeful man do that? He just asked blankly.
Gotta get over the Snow White fallacy of someone being attractive means that they're good, okay? Yeah.
It's not always been true in the. He tries to defend himself.
No, sorry. Probably mildly out of character. Moving on. Anyway, so when he was helping, sort of, really all he actually helped with was moving.
All he did was help me carry the body. He wasn't a big help.
That's kind of nobody is qualified to be oh, there's a concussion in 2 minutes. But anyway, so when we were in the butler parlor thing, so I kind of looked at him, capital L, looked at him, and it was unsettling. So his idea of himself is sort of in worship of a form of himself with it's a very definitely religious piety thing, but also sort of sainthood, but definitely a sainthood of martyrdom and possibly sort of Michael Archangel-y kind of a flavor, and tears of blood and still the suit though. Not sure what was going on with the suit. And this scream of rage on the face of the sainty Caesar, not the normal praying Caesar. I got a very vigilante vibe out of it.
And as a saint, I'm assuming he appeared angelic, pure.
No,
but grateful?
vengeful. Plague deliverer rather than blessings and healing of Lazarus kind of a flavory. Yeah. Less of the laying on hands and more of the bringing the vengeance of God kind of a. But it the selfishness of it definitely didn't make it feel actually pious in a I didn't get a sword feel from him.
Oh. Perhaps
I'm
he would.
probably doing a terrible job at describing this, but that was I didn't get a good vibe, okay? Like, yeah.
Do you think he is praying to keep his dark side at bay, and maybe being helpful is this penitence? Repentance.
No, that doesn't sound right. No.
Oh, he's worshiping his dark side.
Sure. Or like,
Martyr complex.
yeah, like wants to like earn his holy place through violence.
Do you want to roll lore?
Sure, thank God. Okay, I'm like, I feel like I'm describing like the thing that I have in my notes. Well, I don't know if I'm describing what I actually like.
Whether it's right or not, you're describing it how Leah would remember it.
Right?
It is uninterpretation. The lore roll is to sort of come up with an
thank God.
alternate
Okay, that's
possibility.
an 8.
Okay.
I would just like I could. It's not going to show. I was like, I can prove it. I got a 6, 6, 5, and 5, and then I have
Listen,
a +4.
I'm not going to doubt you. I believe you with an 8. So it could be that. It could definitely be that. It definitely had that kind of dark, fucked up vibe. And there was a vigilante vibe. You're absolutely right. But a possible alternate interpretation that occurs to you as you're describing it out loud now is that the version of him that was hanging on the cross, he is in penance for. He regrets.
Okay.
And that version of him is suffering. And he is praying. Maybe
that's how I interpreted it too, is that's the part of him he's trying to hide away or get rid of.
Yeah, a cream suit is not going to fix that scene. I'm sorry.
Okay. I appreciate the intro because that was not how I got that at all. Okay.
Yeah, no, all totally fine. Either one of those could be accurate, but it occurs to you as you're describing it that it could be less of a worship thing and more of a penance thing.
Okay. So it also he was praying, so maybe he's praying for forgiveness, but the violence part is definitely there. So I don't know if it's I am lauding this, exalting this version of self, or I am mourning this version of self, but it was aside from the setting, the religiosity of it is somewhat suspect. Yeah.
I wonder if that's how he knew Dad, was that Dad caught him at some point or hunted him at some point, but they do not seem to have ended on an adversarial note.
Or maybe they did and just nobody else has reference for it that's here.
Could be true.
I'm just saying, the attitude he had towards Dad here did not seem to be either screw that guy or haha, the witch is dead.
No, I guess what I'm saying is because I know I've never been acquainted with this dude before. He was conveniently here and in the way, but we don't know that he wasn't here to bring these fetchy friends over or whatever. I don't trust this guy is what I'm saying.
That's very fair.
So
that's very fair.
Just because you're a good actor doesn't mean
that's very fair. Yes.
That's very fair. Joe.
Yes.
For Noctis, this sounds like a mystery.
Oh, for fuck's sake, yes, it does.
And the truth is out there. So you don't have to do it right now. This doesn't have to be your top priority, but I think Noctis probably wants to find out what the story with Cesar Oliveira and what his connection to your father is.
I have a feeling, and Leah, you are a good sister, and thank you for reminding me, but what does this handsome man have to do with our father? We must investigate this.
It's good information to have, if nothing else.
But you brought up a very good point here. He may have been formerly a vigilante, and perhaps our warden father brought him to heal, and that is why he was here to pay his respects.
Turned him around.
What
Yes,
did he
both
say
our
about
father
Does
and the
that sound
wardens
like-
are often known for their mercy.
Yeah. Does that sound like Dad? That doesn't sound like Dad.
I mean, it may be one of his rare moments, and one of the reasons that he came by. What he said something about his spidey sense. What was that?
He said that he had a knack for being exactly where he needed to be.
Yeah, and wasn't that creepy?
That's a sort of the cross kind of thing, but
yeah, but like,
didn't have that impression.
yeah. Also, like being where you needed to be would have been there before Lexi got choked. Just maybe like needed to be to do what exactly? First aid. Wait a minute.
Listen, if he hadn't have been there, you might have thought that Lexi's mom had a concussion.
Who may still have a concussion because that's not how concussions work. Yeah.
Are you trying to tell me my mom has a concussion? And Lexi starts to get up to leave.
No.
I mean, if he
One of my
hadn't been
parents
there,
has like the slightest thing going wrong that I have to try to fix because that's my role in life. Lexi away. No.
if he hadn't been there, I would have had to carry her by myself, and she looked really heavy.
Yep.
So he was a saint.
Dang. Also, there were 3 of us there that could have done something about it. So yeah, I needed to make sure that like I know you've got his like contact or whatever, but like
Something is off there, and we need to get to the bottom of it.
I will call him now if that's what you're saying.
I'll give you a fate point.
All right, great. And he's just like, hello. and he's just like, whatever. And
Why am I calling him again?
why are we calling? There's a mystery afoot, yes, but
We need
Like,
to
don't
talk
get me
to
wrong.
him.
I love an excuse to call him. I just need to know what the excuse is.
Leah is just going to start sweeping up the teacup because this is not a thing.
I
Like,
think we need to talk with him.
okay.
Maybe grab lunch tomorrow or something along those lines.
Dinner sounds formal. Dinner.
and
Just the 2 of you.
he
Does
says,
that sound better?
we're going to a haunted house, but before that, we need to meet. And then he's just like, Ravenna, dear, a good place to meet for dinner?
There's, if it's just the 2 of you,
No, all of us will be there. Why would I go there alone with him? That'd be weird.
He might think it's a date or something.
We're looking at near the haunted house, so we could just go over there afterwards.
Yeah,
I'd
because we
never-
don't want to like keep him out of our other plans or anything.
I'd never have a meal alone with a handsome stranger.
Why would you make me contact a handsome, mysterious stranger and have dinner with him before haunted house? What are you thinking?
So actually, he will answer. He will answer
None of
the
that.
phone.
Yeah.
When he answers the phone, it's almost like he knew you were going to call. He says, Lord Duskfell.
Yes.
He gets your name right.
Hangs up. You have your fate points back.
I've got it
He
for their
sounds-
standards.
He sounds a little intrigued. He says, Lord Duskfell.
You answered very quickly.
I happen to be near my phone.
My family and I are looking more into the death of our father. We believe that there is something suspect. My brother and our contacts have gotten new information that has brought different light onto the subject. Would it be possible to meet at a restaurant or someplace tomorrow evening, perhaps 6 o'clock?
There is a bar in the hotel where I'm staying.
Very good. We will meet you there, if it pleases you.
It would please me. If
Cut that sexual tension with a knife.
Very good. Is there less sexual tension in Veil Breakers?
I think so, actually.
Yeah. I think the closest that we got was when Jen had a what's it called? Character had a man make her, what was it, mac and cheese?
No, it was
the Old Bay. A triangle.
Yes, sorry, just a pile of Old Bay.
Yeah, I remember the Old Bay moment.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the sexiest
Yeah, pretty much
spice.
it's just
Everybody knows that.
Joe's character has an actual boyfriend, so like but
Gotcha.
they're more
Fiance.
romantic.
And
at
they
this
did have a
point.
like fade to black moment. It's true.
They had a fade to
but-
black. It's
Yeah.
true, but
Goodness.
Chaste kisses. That's all it was.
cute little chaste kisses.
Butterfly
Excuse me, Lord Duskfell. I do not find that rest comes easy to me these days, and I sense you may be of a similar ilk. If you'd
There
like
are a lot
to,
of spinning plates, yes.
if you'd like to speak tonight,
You need to go to bed.
That sounds...
I mean, doesn't need to go alone though.
Who's
No,
bad?
you need to rest in bed.
Not just one.
We are mature adults.
Technically, the one smacks him on the arm. Yeah.
Okay, but
the
is
audience
the
loves them.
post cuddles restful enough that Noctis is just gonna disappear?
Disappear.
oh yeah, Noctis is never there the morning after.
Well, I'll have to read the rules again, but like if there, so long as there's, I'm not gonna say it. So long
As long as he's invested. Yeah.
no pressing need. So usually you'd be like,
How insulting would that be? Like in the middle, and it's just like I'm fading away.
He will, Joe just like sinks below the frame of the desk.
like,
So he will say he will go on and he will say, I will be at the bar in the hotel enjoying a drink for a few hours yet. If you want to join me, you're more than welcome to. You and any members of your family you'd like to bring. But if not, we can meet tomorrow perhaps. The bar is called Fade to Black.
was that a call to fade black? He says, I can meet you there tonight.
I look forward to it. And he will hang up.
We are meeting at Fade Black. You may come if you wish.
So Leah is still like aggressively sweeping up the teacup and being like, this is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. And ew. And she's just gonna like pick up the like dustbin and go into the kitchen and start like slamming some doors and then like, yeah, this is a bad idea. Bad idea.
I think you should be going and getting some rest. I'm not going to let you do this alone.
Yes.
I think he should maybe go alone. But we could be nearby in case we were needed.
Whichever you choose, siblings. But we should probably see if we concoct a list of questions that I can ask him.
Mainly, we want to know his story with Dad.
Yes, we'll see what the connection is.
Also, maybe his relationship with religion, given some things.
I can be sure to bring that up as simply and easily as possible.
That's weird first date conversation.
It's not a date, Lexi.
Leah's gonna like pop her head back
Is
out
it
of the
any
kitchen.
weirder than what was your
Definitely
relationship with
asking
my
about
father?
religion. Good idea.
Yeah,
Do not bring up fetches. Just as an aside.
Okay, no fetches, no religion.
You're meeting him at the bar of his hotel.
Mhm.
How naive are you, Noctis?
I am not naive, sister. This mystery needs to be solved.
It's true. I gave him a fate point.
I assure you.
I don't know how it works in the Fey realm, but strange men do not invite you to come have a drink at the bar of the hotel they're staying in unless they plan on wanting to be a short walk back to their hotel room. Wink, wink.
Oh, is that a thing? Really?
I know you haven't ever stayed in a hotel before, Chaz, so you wouldn't know, but
Ow! You're not wrong.
Not just okay, no fetches, no religion, and you would be surprised at the number of strange people that will ask you out for a drink, and it's not simply. These are the connections we make, and I am ashamed to say that I am trying to build the Autumn Core back up, and I have been led astray before, with promises of allegiance. I promise you, I will keep my wits about me. And he invited all of you if you wished to come.
yeah, that's probably because he's testing the waters to see if you come alone means you're down to clown, and if you bring us, that means he'll back off.
Lexi's been on so many bad dates.
Yeah, apparently.
Lexi
You're
probably has
terrible.
the most normal, like, actual dating life here out of everybody. So, yeah, probably.
Leah's like futzing with a teacup right now, kind of like avoiding. Like,
And he's, I mean, if he's connected to this in any way, it's better that we know.
Yes. We take him back to the hotel room and kill him.
Not just gonna tilt his head. It's a little severe. What other? I did want to get back to creating, I don't know, a semblance of happiness here, but despite all the teasing, I think this is a good start for creating a threshold, making this a home. This is honestly the most I've talked to any of you in years, and it feels good.
Yep.
I think somehow, as you say that, Noctis, and you all realize that your postures have relaxed, you've all laughed, you've all shared information back and forth, you've all teased each other and made fun of each other. It feels warmer in here. The lights seem brighter. It feels warmer in the house, like in terms of temperature. And it feels smaller, less empty.
Do we move on this now?
I mean, you told him you were going to. We might as well.
All right.
how many of
Yeah.
us are like gonna be like, you know, wearing the fake mustache glasses in the back?
If you need me to create those, I will create them for you. You look good in them.
Are
It's
we
fine.
all
We can
going?
get you past the bouncer into the bar.
I kind of thought I was
Oh, right.
finally going to go to sleep, but, like, if we're all going, I guess I'll go. It's fine.
We don't all have to go. I was asking how many are.
I would recommend we stay together for now.
Mm.
Okay. I don't need to sleep. It's fine.
Leah's gonna go.
Hasn't been a long
Tylenol.
day between Dad's funeral and fetch attack and my mom's concussion. That's maybe a concussion, and it's fine. It's fine.
Cesar said it wasn't a
Let's go
concussion.
have a drink at a bar.
Well, it's sole purpose of gathering information, but
Let's go get you laid, brother.
rolls his eyes and he's like, getting me laid will not restore the autumn court I can give.
He's like, oh, we would have been missed a long time ago, trust me.
Believe me, we've tried that route. And,
You didn't say that.
you sure did. But for a fate point.
Fate points are not
Would you do
Scooby
it for
snacks.
a Scooby snack? Yes.
See, this is the real reason why fate is the superior system, because you can make people have never mind. I'm not gonna intrusive thoughts. We're not gonna do it. We're gonna
That's what my character would do.
All right, so we're going to the bar.
We're gonna wipe. Yeah, we're gonna do a wipe and
Leah's gonna offer to drive because like she's got like a I mean like it's a human car but like in much like a Harry deal. It's like a really old like classic, like not well necessarily maintained, but I'm imagining it's like one of those sedans where like it's like bench seats in the back and like maybe doesn't even actually have seat belts in the back. Like a boat of a car where like the car is like twice as long as any car driving on the road now. She's like, I mean, I can't drink, so I guess I'll be the designated driver. Also, maybe escape driver, like just getaway
driver.
Yeah, that one. Yep.
Vicky, are you playing another driver character?
God. The hopefully dies slightly less often than Wendy seemed to. Yeah. The very close to death, I should say. The oh god damn it, my note page. Okay. Yeah, so she'll offer to drive people there because despite the like I can't drive a modern car portion of things, I imagine like Dad had like a really nice vintage car kind of a thing, or like some, like could have taken it to those like big old like festivals in the desert or blah.
It's,
like,
it's an Aston Martin. It's a very old Aston Martin.
Right.
For sure.
Like it's just like really, in like a color that they only made 100 of or whatever. And like hers is just like a hoopty. But yeah, so be like, I will drive because and they may not let me in, so I can always be outside ready to go. So yeah.
It's a hotel. They'll let you in.
The bar?
Yes.
The bar is connected to the lobby.
Maybe. I don't know how classy this hotel is.
I'm sure we can convince whoever is needed to get you in. But I do have to change if we're going to a bar.
What is the plan here? He kind of like looks.
I think you've got to go sweet talk him is the plan.
Aside from that, logistics, battle plan. Where will you be? I'm there. I take up a lot of. He just thinks for a second. He's like, atmosphere, much like our sister Ravana does here.
I'll guard the girls at the bar and keep an eye on you.
That makes sense.
And I guess like whether you sit across from him or next to him is depending on how you're feeling at the moment. But
Will it bar and I sat on the other side? Wouldn't I have to serve him?
Oh.
Context aside, your words in my mouth.
You should get a booth.
So,
yes,
you get into Leah's very beat up old car, and you start driving across the city to the hotel where the bar, Fade to Black, is attached. I think whoever looks it up on the phone to get the address would notice that it is a piano bar.
Ooh.
Make of that what you will. And it is a fairly brief drive. It seems clear to you that if Cesar is in town for your father's funeral, probably found a place that is fairly close to the house. And that does seem to be the case in this particular case. So you were driving there. Leah, I'm assuming you're driving. And I ask for no reason in particular.
No reason in particular.
No reason in particular. So you are driving?
Yes.
Cool.
But I wasn't prepared for this to be a musical episode. So when you say it's a piano bar, yeah. Okay.
It is a piano bar. But before we get to that, I need you to roll driving.
Oh, fuck. Okay. Yeah.
They're playing the Benny Hill theme as we drive. Yes.
God. Okay. I would also like to say that because this is like an old and like broken down car, she's painted it, but like with spray paint rather than like car paint. So it's like a like chartreuse on the outside, like not quite lime green, like but like that like avocado 1970s appliance kind of green. Yeah.
100%.
That's a 2, actually.
Cool.
That's better than I thought.
Yeah. No, 2 is going to be 2 is great. With a 2.
Yeah, Justin, fucking grip it and rip it, baby. Slop that down,
Thank you for the
dude.
donation.
Yeah, dude. Crack one for the big boy.
All right. So you were driving through the city, and you're all kind of, continuing the theme of the night, which is mostly, I think, at this point, probably giving Noctis shit about this date that is maybe not a date. When suddenly, Leah, you jerk the wheel to the side because a giant hulking shape in shadow appears in the middle of the road right in front of your car. And you swerve to go around this figure, and you managed to do it, but you managed to do it. You managed to swerve the car to the side, jerk the wheel. One of the other cars on the road honks at you as it also swerves out of the way, but it kind of keeps driving, and you are kind of you take a second to collect yourselves. All of you see this, and now this figure starts stomping over to your car. And stomping is really the only word that applies because they are so large. They're at least 8 feet tall. And again, most of them is cast into shadow, but you can see the sort of wild tangle of hair, and you can see this big beard, and you can see the armor that they wear. You can see the giant broad-bladed spear that they carry in their hand. And before you can drive away, Leah, the figure gets close enough to your car that with one hand roughly the size of like a mailbox, picks the spear up overhead and slams it down through the hood of your car.
Yeah, okay.
And as he does so, in the light from the inside of the cab, you can see one glittering eye.
Yeah.
And one empty eye socket. And that is where we're going to end this episode of the Madigans.
I feel like there are more polite ways he could have done that other than destroying the car. Like, you could have just asked. He'll buff out.
If you're a good mechanic, not a problem.
That's right. Just get some duct tape across that engine block. It'll be fine.
Exactly. Well, that is going to do it for us here on the Madigans this week. We'll be back in 2 weeks with another exciting episode. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, and hope you had fun. We will go around and talk about some stuff. If anybody has anything to plug, then feel free, and just generally say goodnight. I'll go last, but we'll go in our same order of sibling age. Joe.
Hey, I'm Joe Gates. I was playing Noctis. Thank you for being here and laughing along as we made fun of Noctis. It was a good time. I honestly had a blast. If you want to follow me and you want to see what I'm up to, a lot of it's just going to be like promoting the show. But if you are in the Philadelphia area and you want to catch a show, sometimes I promote the Stories and Legends Told, a comedy show that I might be a part of, doing improv and stuff like that. And you can follow at Comedy Showgates on Gmail. And yeah, keep up with me, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. We'll see what happens of this mess.
Yes, Chris.
Thanks everybody for watching. I don't really have anything going on other than this group, so I hope everybody had fun watching us role play family drama.
Exactly. And Rouge.
Hey, it's Rouge. And I guess the first thing I've got coming up is my band, the Misbehaved Maidens, do have a performance next month. So if you want to follow us on the socials, find our website, misbehavedmaidens.com. You can find all the information there for the show next month. And we do expect one in June coming up soon as well. So that's it for me tonight.
Yes. Liz.
Liz, I actually don't have a lot going on right now other than Missing Numbers, which will not be next week, but the week after on Tuesday. So if you want to see me and Will in that, feel free to tune in. But yeah, that's it for me.
Everybody has so much time on their hands. This is so nice. Victoria.
No, that's all I got for you. I hope you enjoyed watching. Happy Easter if you celebrate. Hope your family drama was not as bad as our family drama. Have a good night.
This was a nice episode. There's very little family drama in this one. Hello, my name is Will. I'm one of the storytellers and the organizers here live from the Apocalypse, and I have a very busy week ahead of me. So Tuesday night, check out Class Reunion, which is the 5e homebrew game that I run about 4 high school students from Ohio who have been trapped in a fantasy world for 10 years. It is a lot of fun. We are in the middle of a murder mystery serial killer arc, kind of. It's going to be a really good time. It's also getting gayer and more unhinged every session. So if you enjoyed some of the tension at the end of this episode, you're going to like Class Reunion. Check it out. And Wednesday night is the actual finale of the Eldritch Lady Badasses of Wrestling. The finale was supposed to be last Wednesday, but there were weather-related issues because the people in that game are like across the United States and outside of the United States also. So there were some weather issues. We had to postpone this Wednesday night. Eldritch Lady Badasses of Wrestling, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here live from the Apocalypse. And then Friday night is the return to Table 1 of a season of Secrets and Shadows, the Regency Monster Hearts game that
They're
our
so
very
good.
own. It's very good.
I have to catch the VOD. I missed the first session.
It's very good, and it's worth watching the VOD. Our very own JD is running that game. It's a blast. Check it out on Friday. Table 1 is the table that I am in. And then the following Friday, Table 2 will be back, and there will be a premiere of a brand new, ongoing Live from the Apocalypse game that you should absolutely tune in for. It's going to be a daytime game, even, which is wild. I know. More information on that forthcoming, and if you want that information, I'm going to be normal sized for a second. You should probably follow us on the social medias. All the links are in the chat there. And if you also want to join the Discord, you are more than welcome to. It is a great place full of great people, and we would love to have you. There's a lot of fun stuff out there. Also, a new episode of Academy H dropped today, and it's very good, and you should listen to it. That's our Masks Actual Play podcast. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And on that note, we are going to disappear in just a second, but we are going to raid Femme Gamer Party. They are raising money for RAIN, the Rape and Incest National Network. And we're going to hop over there and say hi and be friendly. And if you happen to be subscribed, you can copy paste the first raid message in the chat. If you're not, feel free to grab the second one with the little raccoons. And on that note, that is going to do it for us here tonight. So say good night, everybody.
Good night.